Good morning, all. I see Rosanna's in here. Gonna go ahead and bring her up. How's it going, Rosanna? Doing great. It's a little bit of a interesting start to the market today, but besides that, doing pretty good.
Yeah,
I
agree.
think I
Was
think the rush to the upside had to end somewhere.
I agree. I
So
was waiting for this. This happened. I was thinking this was happening last week and earlier this week. So I actually jumped into some short positions a little early. And then I added more yesterday, which was good because now they're all printing pretty nicely. But yeah, this was much overdue. It's a significant pullback, but it's OPEX too. So you know how these days can be.
yeah, I can imagine. I'm a little annoyed I didn't put on more short exposure. I actually closed out a position in Hut 8 mining puts yesterday, which we're up about 75%, but the stock's down 11.5% today. So I can only
Oh,
imagine. Yeah,
I
I can
know,
only
but
imagine.
75%, congratulations. You can't complain. But yes, when you see, wow, even more of a drop, I get that. Like, I think almost every day happens to me. So yeah, I feel for you. I know how that is.
Yeah, I had, and they were also farther outdated. Like I had the 916 ones. So yeah, they went
Oh,
for okay, yeah. It is what it is. But besides that, I kind of watched this morning. There were a couple positions I wish I took. I wish I took these Tesla 890 puts. I saw Tesla breaking down at around 891, 892, and I really had this feeling that if it was going to give up 890, we were going to see some downside. I didn't want to. I just kind of watched, and so just kind of sat as. Also watched some GME puts, but I think those were for the best not to take. It's kind of just been theta kill plus a slight move to the upside up here, so it's been interesting overall.
absolutely. Yeah, I think the selling of Ryan Cohen pulled the plug on the meme stocks running up, but the overall market is red. But AMC, GameStop, those are all pretty red today as well. Don't know if it's just the market or because of what happened with BBB, wait, BBBY. That's it. Um, but wow, what a bloodbath over there. 40% down.
Yeah, that's I guess what happens when Ryan Cohn comes in and sells his entire stake.
Yeah, wasn't he the
The
one that told everyone to hold?
bought leaps, told everybody to hold. You know, it is what it is, I guess. And sometimes,
Gosh, we got to think for ourselves. Can't follow the crowd or listen to the, the these people, the big funds
so
and insiders.
good morning, Kim, as well. Thanks for coming on. Just wanted
Hello,
to,
good morning.
yeah. Good morning,
Morning. Good morning.
Hi, Rosanna.
Kim. What have you been paying attention to?
I did Rosanna knows I love these. I did a jade lizard, so I know it's a little complex. But I put that earnings trade on because I like to take advantage of the premium and the vol crush in earnings season. So I put on a jade lizard on deer this morning, and I was a little nervous because it dropped about 20 points. So a jade lizard, let me explain that really quick, is a short call spread. So you take in a credit for it because it's a short call, right? So I think I did that at, I have to look really quick. Dear, sorry, I don't have it pulled up. So I was taking advantage of the high implied volatility and then the volatility IVR. It's the historical volatility compared to how the stock has traded throughout the rest of the year. So when you're looking at earnings, you can buy calls, but you have to look at that IVR. How is that stock trading for that week or that next week? The options compared to how it's done historically. And if that's high, the chances of your calls having that theta crush are greater, right? So that's a time to actually sell premium versus buying the option itself. So I sold it, but I did a call spread just in case it ran. I didn't want to then be short, right? Without some type of hedge on the other side. So my call spread was for 375, 377.5, and I took in $1 credit. And my short put was at 352. So a Jade Lizard is a short call spread and then a short put out of the money. And that short put, I took in a credit for $4.40. So the total trade was $540 credit to me. So I'll explain it once again. Short call spread, short spread. And so I'm looking at all to crush, right? And Deere actually at first, when the earnings came out this morning, I happened to be up on the West Coast at 4 a.m. Deere actually plunged and it was breaching my break even. So my break even was three for Deere at $349. That was my break even. And it was like below my break even. But then Deere rallied. And right now it's at 365. So my Jade Lizard is now worth about $200. So if I took it off, I would make $200 because the short put has now the theta has crushed, the vol has come out of it, and the short call side is crushing too. So it's right in the middle. It's right where I want it to be. So
Okay.
I will be taking it off. I might take it off right now. I'm not looking to make $540. I'm looking to make about probably on this trade just because the market's way down today. I'll just probably look. Usually, I'm looking to make 50% on that, and probably today I'll look maybe 40%. It's about 40% right now, so I'll probably take it off pretty soon. But Deere's not going to plunge. It's a good stock. It's a good company. I don't think we're going to have another big plunge today, if that makes sense. So I put the trade on a good company that I didn't think was the expected move was 20 points. So I went right at the expected move. So on my trading system, it tells me how many points it's expected to move in that week with the earnings. So it typically doesn't move 20 points in a week. So because the vol was higher and it was earnings, it was expected to move more. And so I put my short put right at the, or what I'm trying to say is I put the total trade that I would break even right at the expected move. And by the way, one more thing I'll say is that short call spread was very close to at the money yesterday. It was out of the money, but it was close to at the money. And even if Deere ran at expiration, I would make $280 because of the short put. So there was no risk to the upside. The upside would make money. That's why I love these trades. They're one of my favorite trades, especially during earnings. The risk is you take on the stock. So, or you keep rolling that put out, right? So you're not taking on the stock.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's an interesting one, the Jade Lizard strategy. It's definitely it's a slightly bullish strategy, like you just mentioned, combining the short put and the short call spread. I think it's definitely interesting, kind of minimizing or reducing your upside risk with the total credit being greater than the width of the short call spread from just a slight experience with them. It might be a little bit over the audience's head, but I recommend people can go to Tasty Trade. They've got some good pages explaining the Jade Lizard option strategy and just how you actually set it up. In breaking it down, like very simply, kind of what Kim was doing, you're just selling an out of the money put and then selling an out of the money vertical call spread. And if that still is too complex, we can break it down further from there. But I do want to also bring in Vegas. Kim, anything else you want to share?
No, thank you.
Absolutely. Vegas, how's it going? Vegas taking any trades yet today? I hope her sound's working.
Hi, good
There we
morning.
go.
Yeah, I hear you guys. Yeah, took some SPY puts this morning and IWM puts for Monday. I actually have the 195s, and I actually had also, I took them earlier in the week on IWM because I did see like a golden. Well, not shorting the actual stock, but shorting on the option side on puts. So I had the 195 puts. I bought them at 404, but the ones I have that I bought the other day are for September 16. So those are doing well this morning. And right now, shorting some Apple, 172.50s for next week, August 26th. So not on a lot of trades, with options expiry today. Just keeping it light.
Those apples expire next week, you said? August 26th?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Those Apple
Yeah, 172.50 puts.
For next
Yes.
week. So slightly in the money.
Next week, yeah. Yeah, slightly in the money.
Okay.
And IWM 195s as well for next week. And I have September 16 ones as well. Not
Okay.
trading
How
too
are you
much,
feeling
so
with
keeping it light.
Yeah, how are you feeling with the overall market movement? And any thoughts here on like SPY and the Qs bouncing? Well, SPY kind of just coming right off that 200 at the downside.
Yeah, you know what? I think, listen, that we saw the futures gapping down this morning. It looked like the market was wanting to back test. So, we just need to see, I think also playing puts is tricky at this time too. So I think we just need to wait and see till we get more clear direction and for some setups to trigger. It makes it difficult, I think, to trade. You can obviously, if you like scalping, I think it's great. If you're quick at in and out. But right now, it's just waiting. We're just waiting for the right channels to present themselves. I'm not surprised at the pullback in the market, anyways. I was expecting today to be like this with OPEX as well, adding to the mix. So not surprised. But I'm just keeping the trade light, and then I'll see what we have going into Monday. But it's not like I have like a lot of puts in play. The only puts I have really for September for now are the IWMs, because I followed that golden sweeper. And those are doing well. But I don't have like any SPY puts or Q puts at this time just yet. I will consider them, but just not yet.
Okay, got it. Hey, investor.
Yeah, so I'm doing a little chart reading right now. With Amazon, I was looking at. Do you guys look at the wicks or the body to like a pullback? Because what I'm looking at right now on Amazon, a 125.22. Would that be it, or would you look at the wick, which is 120, 125, a little bit up above? I can't get my little thing on, but I think it's like one for the wick that I'm looking at. So do you guys look at the wicks or the body? Would you guys pull your guys' numbers from?
I guess any of the technical analysts can talk to that. Vegas, you want to speak to whether you look at wicks or bodies more? I'm not sure I fully am grasping the question, but I kind of get it. A lot of feedback.
Well, some people look at the body. Some people like to look at the wick. I like to look at the wick. But I also don't really just use that alone. I mean, I like to look at support levels on the charts, to help me decide to take a trade or not. So I really try to map out and follow the money flow as well, and I kind of look at where's the money flow going and look at a chart and then help me determine to take a trade. So, I mean, everyone has a different style. Some people like to look at the body of the candle. Some people look at the wick. I mean, whatever works for you. But
Okay,
I like to look at the
wick. If you don't mind, just for a second, do you think you can pull up a a 3 month week chart for Amazon, just to kind of see what you would kind of look at.
Vegas, did you hear that?
Yeah, I heard it. I'm just
Sorry.
managing
Oh,
these trades
yeah.
at the same time. I
Yeah, I'm
will
sure
say
there's a lot going
from
on.
a weekly, I'm doing live trading too. So, on a weekly perspective, I think Amazon to me looks bearish. However, I would be more interested in this trade if it could get over. Let's see here what I have on Amazon. I'll tell you in a second. I would like to see it over. Can you guys hear me still or no?
Yeah, we can.
I'd like to see it over.
There's
I would be
back.
more. Oh, okay. Yeah, a lot of feedback. Okay, I would be more interested in this trade. If I was looking to go in calls, and I don't have any Amazon at all, either calls or puts. I have no position. Like right now, to me, it is bearish. It's under that 140, 150. I would like to see this get back over 144.50 for a move to the upside. So that would be like for now. I'd be in puts. I'm not in the trade, but I would be personally looking at puts for now. But I'm not in Amazon. I'm not trading it at all. But I would not be going in calls. Personally for me until it broke 144.50. Right now it's in the bear zone for me, so it's just no trade for me.
Okay, yeah, I was just looking at like more pullback areas to enter instead of because I would, and I was looking at like the 120 range. What's your opinion on? I mean, just like it's like
You're breaking up pretty bad, investor. You might have to move to a spot where we can hear better.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Really couldn't hear much that he was saying.
Yeah, you could also send me a message. I can help you with the chart. If you send me a message, I can help you with the chart later on.
Okay, that sounds good. All right, Rosanna, I know we said kind of high before, and you talked a little bit about how you went short, but I would love to hear a little bit more on how you traded this week and more thoughts on the market here.
I'd love to share it. Thank you, Wolf. Yes, well, I mean, we looked very overextended. I've been trading biotechs. I've always been speaking about them every week. I'm still bullish on them as much as you can be right now. I think we're overextended. I think we reached, the SPY and QQQ both touched their 200-day moving average. They were right around that range, and we've come back from that. I mean, that's major resistance. We knew this pullback was due, but I still believe there's a bull market in biotechs and healthcare especially. That's very defensive once again. I like Previa, PRVA. I actually jumped in this morning with shares at 34 and change, and it's green on the day so far. I picked up OPCH the other day when they had an offering. I noticed that all the healthcare were running except that one, and it was due to the offering. Their chart's been great. It's a good company. So I picked up shares. I'm buying shares of these. I don't like the low liquidity and volume in the low OI in the options. So I don't buy calls or buy puts or any buying of options. So I buy shares. And I mean, I'm scaling in slowly. I do think that healthcare should remain strong. So to me, I'm seeing that right now. That's green. Of course, it's very defensive. Vertex is an excellent company. I have very small position there, not too large, but it's been solid. UTHR, another top one. They're both in the XBI, I believe. They're in that ETF, or they're in IBB. They're in one of those biotech ETFs, but they're top companies in my opinion. So that's where I see some green and bullish side. Biotechs to me they probably could pull back more from here, but they are still buys to me on dips. I am in Harmony, by the way. I mentioned it last week. I sold puts there and they're green today as well. So to me, I look for what's green on a red day. That's important to see strength and to see where is there some bullish activity amidst all this pullback? And I also look at companies that are selling off a little less than others. For example, you'll see some companies selling off 6, 10%, 8% down, while other ones like Microsoft, which to me is a leader. I love Microsoft. I have a position, long position there as well, only down like 1% and change. So to me, that's a sign of leaders. So I look for that. I do a lot of analysis and observation today. I did, as I told you, I picked up SPY, SPXS calls. I like playing the inverses. I sometimes do the puts as well on the ETF indices and ETFs, but I'm actually really liking the inverse. So I picked up the $18 October 21 call. I didn't put it in a spread. I usually do diagonals where I sell a higher strike shorter term. For example, I would have sold a September monthly, maybe like a 25 or 24. The premium wasn't that great, wasn't worth the risk because I do foresee we could have major volatility after Labor Day, now until Labor Day or before September 16th deadline. So OPEX. And so I didn't add that. So I just went long calls, and those are printing nicely, about 20-something% up today. So I'm pleased with that. I also have SQQQ. I actually went a little longer term on that. I went there a little early. I started last week because I just thought we were very overextended, and I said, I might as well add some protection here, some more hedging. So I did January 23, and my plan with that one was to maybe scale in dollar cost average over time. And I had my position is just the medium size. And that's actually gone green today as well. So it's really nice. Not much, but I'm pleased with that. So I'm going to keep those on. I'm not going to cash out of those. They are further out, like we discussed earlier, Wolf. Since I had the October and January, I'm going to hold on to those. And so and I also have TZA, which is the bear 3-time on the IW. I do a lot of options flow analysis. And I saw a lot of bearish flow in IWM as well as QQQ in September, October. And then I did see some SPY bearish as well. So I picked up that short as well on the inverse. And that's doing pretty well as well. And then let's see. I sold cover calls this week as well because I just had that feeling. And when you look at the chart and then you see the flow and you look at the macro, which I could spend an hour just talking about macro, it's fascinating. The dollar's at 108 today, everyone. Everyone should just know. If you haven't looked, dollar Dixie DXY is at 108. That means a lot. Well, it's inversely related with commodities. We know that. So we know, and that's also, I picked up oil short, drip, and I have cold. That's another one. I want to make sure I ever mention that. I did that this week. Cold dropped down the 9s, so I picked that up. And shares, I don't buy calls on those. I have done calls on drip, but not this time. So I added shares on both of those. And those are doing pretty well today. I'm going to hold those. I think that we will see, excuse me, sorry, my house line's calling. So I'm basically playing the shorts of oil, the shorts of the indices, and I'm also net long with my long holdings. And I still am bullish on bios. Oh, renewables, overextended. They're good buys in there. I'm going to watch. I may add a few here and there, but I'm not jumping in today for sure. Enphase, my longtime favorite. If anyone's interested, just keep your eyes on it. She's pulling back. So just want to let everyone know. So I think I went over 3 minutes, so I'm going to stop there. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. I found a lot of that interesting. Pervia, that first one, PRVA, is actually one which I was hearing from other people as a potential short. I saw people interested in that side. So it sounds like, you're still taking shares in some of these positions. So it's a bit of a more cautious approach than running with the options, but you're still looking to go bullish in different areas of this market. Specifically, looks like some healthcare, pharmaceutical area. I know another area of the market which is rolling is energy as well. So I appreciate the cautious approach. And then, lining up, option flow as a confirmation indicator is often what I find it works best for. And it sounds like that's kind of the direction you were going, is looking at, hey, this option flow is coming in this way, et cetera, et cetera. I'm going to go ahead and sell calls into it too. I think that definitely makes sense. I feel like there was a lot of names that were thrown out there. I don't know if you'd be able to maybe comment them in the Spaces chat underneath. Just like throw some of those down there so people who, like look some of them up, research them, look at some of the charts too while we're in here?
I'd love to. I will. Tell me how I can do that. I will be
Are
happy
you
to share everything.
So do you see in the bottom right of the space, there's a little number 6 with a comment button next to it?
It's like a little feather thing, I think. Oh yeah, right there. I have it. I can just tweet.
Yes, when you comment it under that, it'll go into the spaces chat. So everybody that's in the space can see it
Oh,
underneath the tweet for the space.
okay. I will get working on that. Thank you.
Perfect. Awesome. Because I'm excited to. It's hard to write everything down, so I'm excited to run through some of them and take some look at the charts. I always appreciate the ones that you share. Make some good purchases every week. Sim also, by the way, said she's coming. She told me she should be here in a few minutes. We can take a couple questions in the meantime too. If anybody takes a trade or anything, of course, just throw it out. I'm still watching Tesla for potential downside here. It did kind of bounce a little bit right at the 880 level, a little bit above it, like 880, 150. But it's kind of just traversing here. But it does feel like one of those days where if we really sell off, Tesla's only down 2.5%, which is not a big down day for it, and could come in closer to that 880. We've seen days where Tesla runs to the upside, and by the end of the day, you're 5, 6, 7, 8% to the upside. So we'll see what happens here. Easy Adventure, did you have a question?
Just a quick one for Vegas, or maybe anyone can really answer it. She mentioned she's in the IWM September puts. I think it's a great setup. But I just wanted to ask out of curiosity, let's say you opened a weekly position that expires next week, and say you open it today. Can you speak to the impact on time decay if you were to hold those over the weekend, or is it better just to close them out today and reevaluate next week on any shorter term?
Vegas, do you want to take that one? Kind of talking to having those IWM puts and close them out today versus next week for theta purposes?
Assuming there was next week. I know she mentioned that she's in September, so she probably got some time on those. But if you opened a weekly position today that expires next week, what would the impact be for the weekend?
I don't think that the weekend is necessarily going to be where you get totally chewed up by theta. Maybe Kim or Rosanna can kind of correct me if I'm wrong, but when the market's closed,
No, you do.
Oh, do you? There's a big drop over the weekend.
Yes, theta burns over the weekend. I mean, unless you
Okay,
have a
there you
big
go.
spike in the VIX, that's
Yes.
when you're looking for short trades, right? So if I'm looking for a short trade, and I had that deer over till I put it on for next week, not for this week. I'm not going to keep it, but if I thought that the market was going to kind of stay where it is, I would want that theta burn over the weekend because every single day counts. So it's burning every single day. So if you're long,
Yes.
you're losing premium every single day.
Yes, weekends count. Isn't that great? So that's why Friday to Monday makes a big difference. Those count even though they're not trading days. Love
Yep.
it.
That's really helpful. Thank you. Answers the question.
There you go. Good question. All right. AWA 07777. Did you have a question? You have a profile picture that looks like Mars, the moon. I don't know. AWA 07777. Trying once more. Going once, going twice, going 3 times, and removed. All right. Stock ins M. Angelina, what's going on?
Hi, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Oh my gosh, this is the first time on Spaces. I listen to you guys all the time. I love, love, love it. So I am also in cold, and I started averaging down like at $24, which is not a good thing, but I've averaged down to where I'm like at $16 now. And I missed that drop yesterday by 10 cents, but it was a nice dip. But I'm still new to trading, although I've been trading for like 2 years. I've never gotten into something like cold where it decays. And I don't really understand how that decay can affect you. Like, can you hold this 6 months and wait for it to go up to, $60 when natural gas plummets? Or will it just eat your money away? I just want to understand it better.
I have a question. Is it options that you're in or the actual, like, what are you trading?
It's the actual stock.
There's no decay in your stock.
Oh,
So your stock doesn't decay. So your stock just moves dollar for dollar where it's going. So you can hold that stock for forever. It's never going to decay. It's just going to. So if you're averaging down on like coal, let's say, and you think that coal's going to go back up, right? Then
right.
that's not necessary. I mean, I don't know coal, so I can't speak directly to that. But let's say if I was in Apple and had fallen to 140, I actually added more of them because I want to hold it long term.
Yeah, but I think cold is different. And then the only reason I'm saying this is because, I go on the StockTwits chat and I look at people and they're always warning against that decay. And I don't think they're playing options. I think they're playing the regular
What's the
stock.
ticker? What's the ticker that you're
Okay,
in?
I think you were talking about cold,
Pigment
which is
leverage.
KOLD, which is
KOLD.
an inverse
Oh, I get it. It's you're in an ultra you're in an ultra short. Yes, there is decay in those. I apologize. That's my fault. When you're in the triples or the doubles, Wolf, you can speak to this but there is slippage in those. It's not necessarily decay, but it's slippage. Wolf, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I didn't have anything.
Oh,
I think you're
I
doing
thought
great.
someone else was trying to talk.
So
Yeah,
so let's just say you have 100,000 in it and I have more. But let's just say for, just to shits and giggles. So it goes to, okay, so it's at 16 and it just stays at that 16 for like a month.
uh-huh.
Is there any idea of how much that 100K would be eaten away at?
Yeah, so I don't know. I would have to look it up. But if you're in any leverage type of ETF like this, it definitely has slippage, and they're not something to hold long term. And maybe Rosanna can speak a little bit to this too. So it's not necessarily day to day like option, but you can look up slippage on because I just don't have it up in front of me.
Okay.
And but you can look at what's called slippage, and on leveraged, you're in a leveraged because it's an ultra short ETF. So over time, it slowly does, like the air slowly comes out of it. I guess that's the best way to describe it. Try to look up an article and post it in here. There's information about it. Rosanna, can you speak to those shorts?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I won't go too deeply into that, but basically, I don't hold these that long. I hop in and out. Cold, I've traded this one like 5 or 6 times recently. I hop in and out. I made 15% return, I think, in like 2 days last week or 2 weeks ago or something. It was like maybe 12%. It was just a quick in and out. I would not advise holding them, just sitting on them. Basically, unless you get high movement, then it's worth you holding on to it. Now, natural gas is very volatile. There is a beta slippage, plus there's a high expense ratio. It's like almost 1% or something like that. But all these kind of leverage, the TQQQ, SQQQ, like they're not something that you just buy and just hold for a long time. Because there's the slippage, there's the fees, and it's over time supposed to go to zero. Like that's like that's probably what you hear on StockTwits, is that it's supposed to actually just keep going to zero. They have to keep rebalancing it. I'm not a pro with all this kind of stuff, but that's what I know of, is that they have to rebalance it over a certain time period. And I think they do a daily rebalancing after each market close, but then it has to be calculated and made sure that it doesn't go to zero. But if the stock stays the same price, it's just an option. It's similar in that same way that your value will keep going down. So unless you're seeing the price movement, you need some price movement to keep your value and to keep appreciating, right? Because it's that leveraged. So if it were to stay at the same price, you will lose value.
Yeah.
So it's not something you just buy and hold forever. But I have held this for like a month at a time. I mean,
Yeah.
not to hold it for a year. I
Yeah.
just don't do that.
I think natural gas is, it's just since it's, cold goes up as natural gas goes down, and we all know natural gas is trading at the top. We all know it's actually called the widowmaker. So I'm a little scared to be in this trade, but I am ballsy as a trader, and I see how it moves, and boy, when it moves, it freaking moves. So it's one of these things
Yes.
that I am taking a gamble. I get it. But, I don't know. I think it's going to
You
be
know what you
worth
have to
it.
ask? I would ask yourself, is it worth the babysitting? Is the return worth the risk to you? Does it work for your style of trading? Because there's a lot of profitable trades out there, but not all of them work for me.
Yeah.
And so you have to ask yourself that. And I do believe there's plenty of ways to make money in the market. I employ like 5 or 6, maybe even more different strategies at one time that work for me. But if you don't feel comfortable and you might lose
Well,
sleep at night,
yeah.
then I'm just
I'm
that's
okay with it. I mean, I've got a lot of other things. I'm loving this dip today. I mean, I've made quite a bit of money off of NVTA, DNA, Wish. What I'm
I
finding is
love
that,
DNA is one of my longs. So
yeah,
yes, that was great earnings, right? Over
right.
240% up. And then
Yeah.
they're making acquisitions and their guidance is even higher. Love
Yeah.
that one. I sold puts there as well.
Yeah. And you know what? I need to learn puts. We're lucky enough that we live in Puerto Rico. We have amazing traders and a lot of crypto. It's a crypto hub also. And, I am self taught. So I started this during COVID. My biggest run was Tesla because I out during COVID. And, I've just had an amazing ride. I rode the market up. I mean, I took $300,000 and I turned it into 1.8 million. But guess what? I rode it all the way back down.
It happened. Congratulations to you, but it happens to everyone. It does. Don't beat yourself up about it. That if
But,
you did it once, you can do it again.
exactly. And I do. I get that feeling. But I do have one last question because I know there's lots of other people that want to talk. But I really want to understand the market better. And I really want to learn charting. And I'll see these courses, but I'm busy. And I'm like, I have like an ADD. So I think it would be best if I could go somewhere and sit with someone who's like a master trader and they just teach me things because I'm in it I love trading so much. It makes me crazy happy. And is there any suggestions on how I could network with a girl who could woman share her knowledge, say, hey, yeah, I was in the same position. I'll take you under my wing. I don't know. Did y'all lose me?
No, we got you. I think that there's some good mentors in this space. I know Sim, you've taught like courses and stuff before in Vegas and stuff like that. So I would say probably maybe just DM a couple of the panels that are up here,
Okay.
Sim or Vegas. I think that a lot of them have Discords and they offer mentoring services. I
I
don't know how.
think Vegas does too,
Yeah.
doesn't she?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I'm not sure exactly when they take place, but if you want to shoot them a DM, I'm sure they'd respond to you.
And let me throw this out there, ladies. If you guys would like to host a trading event, Palmas del Mar in Puerto Rico is amazing. I will get all the accommodations. We can do like a 2 night. It's just incredible here. So I'll throw that out there. If y'all are up to it, I'll host it. I'll do the food. I'll do the wine. I'll have the event space, and we'll just come in. So if that's something that anybody wants to do, host, that's something you can teach some of us young traders, then it could be a paid thing, and I'll just throw that out there.
Well, why don't you put that in the chat? And Wolf, we could be live from Puerto Rico, Women of Wall
Yeah.
Street.
Well, I see Tim's hand up.
Uh, hey, how you doing? No, speaking on that, also, I'm actually throwing a trading seminar that's gonna be in November. It's gonna be in Miami, um, specifically at the Hilton in downtown Miami.
Mm-hmm.
So if when it comes to learning, that's really what it's all about. So it's gonna be a live trading seminar. So we'll be taking live trades, sharing our screen, going over what we see, going over technical analysis, fundamentals, other things like how to read an earnings report, trading psychology, also good risk management, position sizing, how to, set up a trading plan, we're also going to be, talking about a lot of flow, how to read flow. Vegas is actually going to be talking about that. So this is, again, it's an educational experience, but it's also going to be a network experience as well. As far as we're going to have like an after party at a rooftop for all the traders to come together.
What's the dates on that?
So we're looking at November 11th. It's going to be a one-day event though.
Okay.
So we're looking at November 11th as that date.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, if you're interested in something like that, but as far as mentorships go and stuff, I honestly don't have the time to do it. I'd have to travel a lot. So, and what I would recommend is, if you're looking for a mentor, first figure out what your trading style is. My trading style is different than others. Not to say that any are right or wrong. There's no bad way of trading, but as soon as like you figure out what your style is, that's really what you want to do when you look in, when you're looking at getting into a group or, finding an actual mentor or teacher. Just figure out what your trading style is, what you like, and then find that trader. Because for example, I read the tape, so I'm a tape reader. I'm mainly a scalp trader in the market. Vegas reads like a lot of flow. Other people do equities. So you kind of want to find what you're comfortable with and what kind of appeals to you the most.
Okay. By the way, DNA is at $2.86. What? Buy it.
Very awesome. Well, appreciate you coming up, Angelina, and sharing with us and all the questions and the offers. I hope you're enjoying the rest of your Friday.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Awesome. Hey, Sim, I'd love to hear a little bit more about what you're trading. I was watching the Tesla short earlier in the Discord.
Yeah, those cons did barely move today. I think he
Well,
was
I
able
mean,
to.
like 80%, but
I mean, like for a Friday though, for Friday and 0 day expiration, you'd expect a bigger move off of. I think it was like an $11 pull. So, but I mean, whatever. It was profit. It was nice. I don't know if you took SPX with me. I took it twice. I took it once right off of that bounce that we saw at that 422.9-ish area. And then I was able to ride that all the way up. It gave me 35%. I was able to take a decent amount of profit. And then I saw this little bear flag setting up, so I took a little short. Only printed about 25%, but again, just quick scalps in the market like this. Um, a lot of options expirations are today, right? So, we call this OPEX. So, um, I'm really cautious on days like this. I didn't take a huge position sizing or anything like that. Right now, I just see more downside with SPY though. So that 420 level is going to be very crucial. But this little area is an area that I really hate. We're just going to be bouncing up and down about 85 cents or so. I'd like to see a clear down draw, but that volume kind of died out for me a little bit earlier than expected. So I kind of just been sitting back and waiting. I was able to take one more. I took SPY, but not SPX this time. Was able to take that short around that 423-ish area. And that printed out pretty nicely. That was a PJ's play. I don't know if you're in that, Wolf, but that printed out pretty nicely too. I think it's about 40%. So it's been a good morning. I haven't taken any losses this morning. Yesterday I took a small loss on BBBY. That volatility was just really crazy. I was trying to take it on a bounce, but I wasn't able to. It went up like 15%, but it wasn't enough for me. So I ultimately took a little bit of a 15% loss on it, but then I was able to make that back with SPX, which was really nice. But yeah, overall, I mean, market kind of slowed down. BBBY just got clobbered. Like it's at negative 40% right now. That's a dirty move. I hope somebody here on the panel or in the audience was able to put on puts.
yeah, I'm a little. I had those puts loaded the day before, actually, right when that news came out that it was suspected that he might be selling, and the stock started dropping, but it wasn't like, I guess, fully confirmed yet. So I loaded those puts and never ended up taking them. But surprisingly, even with how much the stock dropped, those puts, I mean, I think I loaded them when the stock was at, I want to say, it's not showing me right now. They went 200%, but I would have expected them to go so much more. But the IV was 1,300%.
Yeah, that was nasty. And that's the thing, right? People, you would have expected it, just like you said, but again, that IB crush is crazy. 1,000%, that's like unheard of. That
Yeah,
reminds me of like
1,300.
AMC.
Yeah.
Yeah, AMC and GME, I think was like at what, I think it was like 1,600 or something like that. That was bad. And I think DWAC one time, DWAC was above 1,000 as well.
Yeah, it's really some wild numbers. Do you have a line in the sand for like that you try not to touch IV at a certain level?
Yeah, for me, as I mean, when you're scalping, you don't really have to worry too much about it. But I still will look. I mean, anything for me that's over 140%, anywhere from like maybe like 120 to 140, anything above that, I don't like to touch it. I mean, on ER week, right? It's typical. You are gonna see the higher IVs, so I take it into consideration on ER week, and I understand it. But if it's just like a meme stock and it's pushing and at that point that IV is increased, more times than not, I'm gonna stay away from it. I'd rather go find something else that doesn't have an inflated IV to that level, and then I could go ahead and potentially take that and even make more money off of it, right, in a safer way than really sit there and get IV crushed.
Okay, got it. That makes sense. Do you have any
Hey,
open any?
can I ask a
Yeah,
question off that actually?
yeah, go for it.
Sim, in that environment, like what's kind of like have you ever kind of looked at like what would happen about selling calls or puts in that environment and kind of playing that crush in your favor, or does it just kind of still play against you with the volatility?
For me in particular, it's just not my style of trading, but I know a lot of people that play off of that and they're very successful. I think somebody on the panel, right? I think you guys play off of Ivy. Was it Kim
I
or
do. I do. And
yeah?
I do definitely do it.
Yes,
So,
absolutely. I sell premium. When it's high IV, it's beautiful to sell premium because you get all that premium. So I don't buy, I mean, I really don't buy options when the IV is high, whether from a high VIX or from earnings. But I love selling premium. And Veru, oh my gosh, was so beautiful last week. It has a high IV from the earnings, sold that put, and now it also has a high IV still. And I've been selling more puts on it. So love selling with high IV. Absolutely.
but let me clarify really quick. There are times, it's just I haven't been doing these lately. So, there are times when I will do like what's called a Super Bowl trade, and I will go long a call spread. So it really depends on what the IV is. But if I think the stock's going to make a big move, like it's consolidating and it's going to go up, or we've sold off in the market, I will do a long call spread, and then I'll finance that with a short put. So you're still taking on the risk that if the stock doesn't go up, you might take on the stock, or you have to keep rolling that put out. And I think I've posted in here before what a Super Bowl trade is, but basically it's just like a long call spread and then a short out of the money put to finance that call spread. So a little bit different than what Sim does, which is amazing. She's a great trader. For me, I'm looking to finance my call spreads. So I'm just taking on a little bit more risk because, and correct me if I'm wrong, Sim, Sim is doing where her risk is defined because she's buying calls. Am I correct, Sim?
Yes, that's correct.
And so she's buying calls. So her risk is defined. So she knows exactly if she spends $500 for that call, that's all she's out. For me, I'm selling a put to finance it. So I'm taking on a little more risk than what Sim's doing because if that stock falls and I didn't expect it to, then my put is at risk and I'm at risk of taking on that stock. But anyway, that's kind of the different types of trading styles, they're doing the same thing. They just have a different risk profile to them. Because when you sell a put, there's a risk to that. And it's not defined like this. Maybe Sim can speak a little more to that, or
Yeah,
Rosanna.
absolutely. I think that, I mean, everybody kind of has their own, risk profile when they're getting into a particular trade. Like for me as a scalp trader, ideally, my risk versus reward, just like Kim was saying, yes, it's very defined, right? I ideally look like, if you're gonna buy and sell contracts the way that I do, if you're buying a SPX contract and the contract is $5, right? You have the potential to lose that $5 fully, right? It could go to zero, right? But for me, the way that I play it, just to kind of give you guys an idea of what my risk profile can be. So typically my stop loss is going to be anywhere from around 15 to 20%. Now that changes a little bit on zero data expiration. Why? Just because of the volatility, right? And then you also have to account for the theta as well. So on a particular trade, every single day, if I'm gonna risk, let's just say, ideally I'd want to make 15%, right, to the upside before I start, or when I start taking profits, right? So if I'm risking that much, my risk to reward, right, it has to be initially it has to be equal, right? Anything above that, right, it's just going to increase. So if I'm risking, I'm not sitting here because I call this like a negative R&R. If you're sitting there and you're risking 20% to make 10%, it's not worth it to me. That risk versus reward is opposite, right? So, but that's just the way that I do it. Rosanna, I don't know if you want to talk about your risk.
Sure, be happy to. I agree as well. If my highest return is only like 50%, let's say, but my risk is, very close to that or could even be higher, to me, that's not worth it. I like to keep my risk as low as possible and the return as high as possible. So there's got to be a balance there. I do like spreads a lot for that purpose. Like when there's high, I limit myself only to selling. I also do buy if I anticipate some high movement, absolutely. Or if I just want to get into the stock, even though it's a higher IV, but I do spreads. I'll do a diagonal or a calendar. And I'll just go briefly. Diagonal is my favorite. I always prefer when I go long calls. I'm a swing trader. That's my focus. I'm also a long-term investor. So I'll buy 3 months out. I feel very comfortable with that. Like right now, I'll buy October to January, and then I'll sell call. What that means is a higher strike call, shorter term, which is either September or October, depending on when my long call is. So my hope is always that expires worthless, and that helps reduce my cost basis and reduces my risk. So, and I've done that before, and they call it the fig leaf or something, where you can keep doing that until you get to your long call. So I've done that before in the past successfully with selling 3 times. So I ended up actually paying for the price of my long call or very close to it. And then my long call ended up running. That was just great. I mean, it doesn't always happen that way, but that was nice. I basically got my long call almost like for free, and then I made money on that. So that's the best case scenario. You love that. So I do that as well. I like spreads a lot. So, but I agree completely. It's about return and risk. And for me, looking at SPY and looking at QQQ the past week or two, except for the small little area where I see there's always a bull market somewhere, right? But except for like healthcare, which is very defensive, overall to me, the risk reward wasn't there because I'm like, what am I going to squeeze an extra 5% here? Everything looked a little extended to me. So I was pulling back. I was selling covered calls and I got more defensive because like you said, Sim, perfectly, the risk reward wasn't there. So we always have to look at the risk. It's always about the risk adjusted rate of return. And you have to assess your risk first and foremost. And I have to admit, a lot of people who DM me are newer investors, and they always look at how much they can make, but they don't focus at how much they can lose. And loss is part of the game, and you need to focus on how much can I lose if I enter this trade, not just how much I can make, because it's ultimately at the end of the day about how much you keep. So that's very important. I hope I helped anyone. I hope I was able to answer some questions.
Awesome. I think that was perfect. Some people have been kind of like coming up to the age. I've been bringing them up for maybe future questions, but they've been dropping down during this. So hopefully they were able to hear everything and take those takeaways. Awesome. Okay. We can pull back to the market for just a second here. SPY still kind of going lower, just trickling around that, what is it, 422 level, something right there. Tesla also looking like it wants to give up 880. Sim, any thoughts here on Tesla? Looking at it at short at all?
I'm kind of more long biased, to be honest. We sold off pretty aggressively early. I mean, right now in the interim, yeah, I'm more short biased than anything. I'm actually paying more attention to SPY though, to the downside. I think we break and we might retest that 420 today. So I might be taking a little position for SPX. This is going to be straight with profit, and it's going to be today's expiration. And it's going to be very close to at the money as well. So I'm looking at the 42.25 puts again, strictly for me, only with profit else. I've made a lot of money this morning. There's no way I'm going to give that up. So I'm going to go ahead and take a little position here. I'm going to try to fill at 980.
On puts?
Yep, it's going to be the 42.25 puts, and that's going to be on SPX.
Okay. And these are daily expiration?
Today's expiration, yes.
Okay. All right. Watching SPY puts here. And maybe you want to go over, I always find it a fascinating process, just as to exactly what you're looking for in that week.
Yeah, so ideally, whenever I'm looking at getting into a trade, I'm looking to see what the time and sales look like. So I'm looking to see the orders that are being executed. What I'm really paying attention to is level 2. So level 2 is the order books, right? So ideally, what I want to see is I want to see if the bids look weak. Okay, so if the bids look weak, right, then I can essentially see that there may be some short-term selling that's happening, right? And I see that short-term selling that's happening and the bids look weak and the bids don't hold this 422 and continuously reject it. That's where I see potential weakness. So when I see that type of weakness that's coming in, I see that we may get a little bit of a down draw in the interim. So I just pay attention to that. But now, like, it's really important to see the opposite, and this is why my position is such a tiny position. We may have a potential double bottom as well, right? So you may see a potential double bottom, and that's in the interim. Potentially even stop me out of my position, right? But just based off of that weakness that I saw that was coming in, and that 422 ideally didn't want to hold and continued rejecting at that point. That's why I took my entry. But again, this is a straight, more of a lotto position, you could say. What I mean by lotto position is lotto size. This is not something that I'll ever allow to go to zero. I'll be managing my risk. At the end of the day, what I'm looking at is ideally my stop out would be above this 422.8-ish area. So if we get above 422.8, that's going to be my stop. Other than that, I'm going to stay in this play.
Okay. Sounds good. Rosanna?
Yes, I just want to tell you, I have a Samsung Galaxy phone. I do not have that feature to go into the chat. Kim and I have been DMing, and she's my wing woman. So she's going to copy what I write. I'm going to tweet it. I only have a feather there. I don't have a number. So very strange. I love Angie. Angie's a dear friend. She always tells me that I'm missing out without having an Apple, and I guess she's right. Angie knows best. So I'm going to tweet it. And Kim, thank you so much. Love you. She's my top close friend here. She's wonderful. Kim, everyone should follow Kim. She's the most amazing person. Love you. She's going to write it. She's going to copy it and put it in the chat. So I just want to let you know, it's not that I'm getting lazy here or I'm avoiding doing it. I just don't have that feature on my phone. So she'll do it. Thank you.
Yeah, I switch over. I actually ended up buying an iPhone because of Twitter Spaces several months ago at this point, but that does make sense.
Well,
What?
I
Whatever.
think we can continue. We can continue on.
I bought an iPhone because of Twitter Spaces.
Did you buy the iPhone?
Well, yes, I was. Yeah. All right. I kind of had an iPhone bought for me, but I repaid the favor. Okay.
100% have. Well over.
Yes. Margin call collect. Did you have a question?
Hi.
Or come
Well,
to margin calls.
hi. Thank you for doing these spaces. I'm a re-beginning trader in some ways. I've had a retirement account for 30 plus years, and I traded. I don't know if any of you would remember a mutual fund by the name of Putnam OTC Emerging Growth. It's like ARK on steroids back then. I lost pretty much everything in the 2000 to 2002 bear market, and then recovered. So this is a message for folks. You can always recover unless it's on a single stock that goes to zero. And then lost a lot of it again in the 2007 to 2009 bear market. And luckily for me, I left all my money in one of the NASDAQ 100 funds, mutual funds that is in my retirement account. And for whatever reason, I did not look at the market for 10 plus years. And I was glad to find out that from the bottom, the money has almost become 6-7 times. So a message, hang in there. If you are in even sector ETFs, eventually things come back if they go down. Eventually, meaning 10 plus year horizon. What I would like, I think one of the speakers earlier had asked a similar question. Is there some place where we can get one-on-one training or a small group of folks with somebody who can train on one option with, and also unusual option activity? For those of us who cannot trade options in some of the accounts, it would be useful to understand unusual options activity and how we can take advantage of it by trading stocks and ETFs. Thank you.
I have to jump in. Bar chart, bar chart, bar chart. I have to tell you, they are the best site for unusual options activity, the best data. I use them exclusively and extensively daily to see which options and volume. You can do high option volume leaders, and it'll tell you high IV. It'll tell you everything you want to know about options data. And you can learn there too. You can read what they say and you can read about it. Excellent site. Just want to let you know. Bar chart, awesome.
Thank you.
Well, there you go.
I'd like to throw our hat in the ring there as well, if that's possible.
There you go. How are you feeling with this market today, Chatter Quant?
You know what? I saw we had quite a bit of options expirations going on, and kind of trying to pay attention to just the overall trend. And anytime we get a little bit red right now with the current political and economical climate, it makes everybody a little nervous. So that's why it's very important to try to follow that voice of the market, and that's really what I'm doing. And everyone seems a little hesitant today, is how I describe it.
Yep, I think that makes sense. Any plays that you like?
Actually, I'm going to steer away from, and this is speaking personally, I'm steering away from loading anything too heavy. I did look into Snap a little bit earlier today on my personal account. That's something that I'm paying attention to. Other than that, just trying to see how all of the big players are moving. It seems like we have a little bit of a downtick today, so I want to see what kind of adjustment we get. If we float back to where we started, that would probably be my estimation for the rest of the day.
Okay, sounds good. Feel free to chime in if someone who brings up a trade or a name and you see activity around it.
Awesome. That's exactly why I'm here. I'm sitting there looking at our alert system right now. If there's something you want me to look into, feel free to throw it out there, and I'll happily run it through our platform. So that goes for anyone in the audience.
Perfect. Okay. Vision these trades. Stock. Evan, you got something?
Yeah, I just want to add quickly on the last one about unusual options or whatever. There's so many places that do that. So just Google around, and there's like, I feel like over this last year, there's been like 50 or 60 even more that just have added it to their website. I'm pretty sure all the charting ones have it in there now as well. So, yeah, if you just, they're more or less, every single one of them is the same, reporting the same data, just in this slightly different way. So, yeah, you can look about 50 places for those.
There you go. Yeah, I do know I have like 5 different platforms, I think, that offer it. It's interesting. Yeah, Kim?
I wanted to talk to the gentleman who talked about, losing the money in that bear market in 2001, and then, made it back. There's many, Rosanna and I, Angie, when she's here, Mish, we're long-term investors also. So while we're trading options or futures, I actually just went long VQ. So we'll see what that does. That's a future, by the way. I just took on one long. Looking for a little bounce here. But while I'm doing options or futures, I am always long stocks, always. So when Vegas is selling, she said that she was selling the 172.5 Apple calls. I actually put that trade on. So thank you, Vegas, because my husband, who was a floor trader, short Apple, and he's been telling me that for like 3 or 4 days. So I'm like, I need to short Apple. But when I'm shorting Apple, I'm doing it against stock that I have. So I'm not technically shorting it. I'm just covering it with a covered call so that if it drops, I'm making some money back and reducing my cost basis. If that makes sense. So I added a couple short 172.5, but I'm always long. I have my portfolio that stocks that I'm looking at for, depending on the stock, for 3 to 10 years. I'm not looking to sell, my position in Amazon. And if you're in a tax-based account, in IRA, you could trade all you want. If you're in a tax-based account and you bought, let's say Tesla at $200 or $300 and it's split how many times, you may not want to be taking those gains, right? So there's those considerations also. So I'm just saying, like, I'm always long-term, even though I'm talking about trading, and my MNQ is up right now. So we'll see how far it goes up. I have a buyback at 285. I was kind of being conservative.
Yeah, I think you make some good points
Thank you.
around how people can balance their portfolios. I'm curious, Kim, how many different, or if you're comfortable sharing, how many different long-term positions do you have that you're going ahead and selling these on?
So my core is about 20 to 25. I'm just guessing right now because I haven't counted lately. But they're kind of your basics, like, right? Like, I've been in UPS for a very long time. I mean, that's just been a great stock to be in. It pays me a dividend, right? So I could do covered calls and I get a dividend on it. So think about how I'm lowering my cost basis and, making an income. Now, you have to have tax considerations depending on what kind of accounts you're trading it in. I have my UPS in a IRA, so any calls that I'm selling against it aren't costing me any. I'm not getting taxed on that until I, someday take that money out. Qualcomm has been another long-term trade for me. I think I bought it back at, that stock was crushed when the gentleman was talking about 2000, 2001. Qualcomm was one of those stocks that you could have considered as a meme stock back then. It had a huge, huge, huge rise. So obviously I'm a little older, but I bring a lot of experience. And that stock had a huge, huge, huge rise. And then it was like a meme stock and got just crushed, like your meme stocks today, right? Like a what do we call it? It was pumped in the tech bubble. But then I bought it, a few years ago and didn't do anything for a while. And now it's just blown up, again, and it's a very good company. There's the chips shortage out there. So again, the same thing. It pays a dividend. So I'm making money. I have my dividends reinvested. I don't take those as cash dividends. So they go back into reducing the cost basis of my stock and I get more shares by holding it. And then I sell covered calls very conservatively out to like the 0.25 deltas. So that's like 1.5 to 2 standard deviations out. And someday, Wolf, maybe we can have this women's spaces where we're talking more about those kind of talking more in depth about those strategies. And also Sim and Vegas's, trading, how they do it more in depth. But so yes, don't even remember necessarily the question you were asking.
You're all good. Yeah.
I was responding to that gentleman. Yes, I have long-term trades and I keep those on. Sometimes I'll take a little bit of profit if it's really, really, really ran, and then I'll try to get back in. But I try not to call tops and bottoms because those are very difficult to do.
Awesome. Hey, Justin, I saw you came up. Did you have a question?
I did. Hey everybody, happy Friday. Absolutely loving these spaces, eating it up like a kid in a candy shop. So I really appreciate it. My question for like Kim, just to kind of like run off of what the gentleman was speaking to before that, and kind of how Kim was speaking to what he was commenting on in his questions. Whether it's like $10,000, $100,000, $500,000, do you have boundaries, or do you have like a certain ratio of money that you put aside to the long in order to play the more, I guess, from my understanding, like the riskier strategies and the calls and the like the inverse indexes and like your short of higher risk like plays. So like,
yeah,
there...
I always have cash on the side, and you can also do margin, and I don't know, I'm old school. I don't know how Sim and Vegas and Rosanna do it. I don't like to use margin too much, so I just like to have cash backed. So I always have cash on the side. And so like if I'm doing, and Rosanna can speak to this too, because she does a lot of swing trades. So if I'm swing trading, right, then I take that, I put that in cash. And if the market's gone way up, I just hold it as cash and just wait for a pullback. And then again, swing trade something else, right? So I do swing trades on stocks. And Rosanna, you can probably speak to that too. I don't do as many of the inverse ETFs. I do more using the futures because those are leveraged too. And so I use futures and I actually cash back those. So right now an MNQ is costing, I need to have $2,400 to back that trade. If I'm holding it overnight, if I'm doing it during the day, it's not, I think it's less. I don't remember. Rosanna, do you want to speak to your like swing trades and how you do those and how much cash or whether you use margin?
Sure. I avoid margin as well. We're in a rising rates environment. Margin rates definitely higher than they were probably 2 years ago, or even a year ago, or even 6 months ago. So I'm not a person who uses debt and overall. So I avoid it as well. Now, when I do cash secured puts, you don't technically have to have that cash. You can use leverage against your stock. If you have a lot of shares, like I hold a lot of long shares in stocks I've had for many years. So I do believe that you don't have to have the cash just sitting there. You can use, it's like a margin, but I don't believe they charge you margin on it. I usually keep cash there, so I don't end up using that. But because I always think it's safe. I mean, just trading for so many years, I know the importance of keeping cash because you never know. It's like you save for a rainy day, like today. You know, there's things you could buy. There's some good buys today on some items. So I always like to keep cash, just like you, Kim. So, but I do believe that you can use your stock as leverage against cash secured puts. But if you don't have that, you can always do a bull put, which is, and that lowers your net credit. But if you do a bull put spread, then you'll have to buy a put as well. But you're still bullish, just like you would be if you just sold puts. But that helps you to not have to have that cash secured naked put, it's called. So that's my 2 cents.
Let me just give an example. So if I was going to do this in September 16th, the trade that Rosanna just said on Apple, let's just do an easy stock. I could sell right now if I was bullish on Apple and thought it was going to go up. I could sell a, let's say if I wanted to be conservative, I could sell a 165 put, right? But if I didn't have the cash to secure that, or I didn't want to use margin, I could go out of the money on a long put, which then is risk defined, okay? And I could go to the 145, so a 165 short. I'm not saying to put this trade, only using it as an example. I would not put this trade on right now myself, but a short put, which is bullish, and then I put a long put to risk define it. I'm getting $200 for that, and my risk is $1,800. So that's what you would have to have in margin or in cash. Now, again, I would not put this trade on right now. The IV is very low in Apple, and when IV is low, you don't want to. You don't want to sell premium. Now, that's not a hard, fast rule. I'm just saying, like, typically you want to wait till the IV goes up. And that's when you sell the premium because you kind of want that vol collapse. So I can put risk defined put spreads, short put spreads in the chat if you would like. And I can actually put like how to trade that.
That was
helpful.
That was awesome. And it sounds like that covered some fundamentals too, as far as, the idea of keeping, cash aside, always having some liquidity. That's
very important to do that.
Fundamental. I did have another question about your long positions. You were mentioning dividends and some really big earning, like high companies. Is there any other, like, do you have some favorites that you kind of lean back on? Not so much for picking companies, but as far as how you gauge and look at the value of a long company. Are you looking more at fundamentals, earnings?
Absolutely. I'd love to answer that one because I always talk about this on every space. I'm a very fundamentally based investor. I'm a CFO. I love math since I was a kid. So I'm a real numbers person. To me, earnings are very important. I always read the 10Qs and the 8K sometimes if I get lazy. Beating earnings is key, and raising the earnings per share. The earnings growth is so important. And the free cash flow, the FCF, very important to look at those numbers. And also, raising the revenue and beating revenue is important, but it's all about the margins. And we need to see increasing or at least stabilizing margins during this economy. There's a dilution of value right now with cost push inflation being embedded. A lot of companies are having trouble keeping their margins up. So if a company can show that they're raising guidance in this market, to me, that's a resilient company. And so earnings, fundamentals, very important. For long-term, fundamentals are top. So, and that's how I even look at fundamentals for swing trades. I want to have quality companies, and I want companies that are leaders. They're emerging leaders. Old leaders can fall if they get stagnant. And sometimes we have new leaders emerging. I do have a few I'll mention. I'm happy to mention them. There's a real leader, and I told Wolf this one a few weeks ago. I said, keep an eye on this one. SMCI, supercomputers, amazing. Their earnings were beautiful. They raised guidance about 3 weeks before their earnings came out in the beginning of August. Then they not only come out with earnings that they beat earnings and they beat their revenues, but they decided they're going to raise guidance again. So fiscal year, this is from the top of my head. So fiscal year 22, their earnings per share is 250. They're raising fiscal year 23 earnings per share to 750. That is 3 times. So to me, that's a leader. They're a fantastic company. They're undervalued, in my opinion. We've been talking on Twitter about them. I've been tweeting a lot about them. We all think it's a $100 stock. And it's right now trading. It's holding pretty good today, only down 1.8%. It's $70 right now. It was recently, it hit a low of like 40s, but it's been rising up steadily. So it's about $70 right now. True leader. Look at their earnings, beautiful. And then Enphase, another one, excellent earnings as well. Free cash flow margins like 36%, and that's free cash flow divided by revenue. So it's very important to see what type of free cash flow they're generating. Their earnings are up 100% quarter from last year. Always compare the same quarter year over year. Don't compare the quarter previously because that's your seasonality involved. So always do year over year, same quarter. Look at their gross margins. Enphase, 41.3%. I mean, guidance. To me, that's a leader. And so those are my 2 top. I love them. I'm very happy with them right now. Enphase, ENPH, and SMCI. I do have a longer list of other favorites, but we're limited on time here. And I just want to briefly go over the fundamentals and name 2 rock star stocks, in my opinion. Thank you.
Wow. Rosanna, Kim, thank you. Wolf, thank you so much for taking my questions in these spaces. So have a great Friday, everybody. Really appreciate all that insight. That was incredible. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Justin. Appreciate the questions as always. All right, Vegas, I see you are making some trades. Do you want to update us?
Yeah, I'm out of the Apple puts and I took a loss there. So now I'm in the small size on the option calls, the 172.50s. Paid 47 cents on Apple. So I'll see how it works for me. I also have some, I am long on ExxonMobil swing for September, 95 calls. And also XLE long on those $80 calls for September. So I think we'll definitely be seeing in the coming sessions a movement to the upside on energy stocks and oil plays. So we've been seeing a lot of money flow as well in ExxonMobil and also some action in Oxy as well. I know they mentioned there was a downgrade on it, but I didn't really cared, and that there's still a lot of momentum in those setups. So I think if Oxy can break $66 and actual 10 cents, I won't be surprised next week we could see this heading towards $70 on Oxy. So that looks really primed and ready to move to the upside along with the other oil plays.
Okay. Watching Oxy. Yeah, that's to watch Oxy XOM. You can go with just XLE overall if you want to have some stuff. A nice job, pivoting and flipping from the bearish to bullish. It does look like the market's trying to do a little bit of a pull up here, so we'll have to see what happens. Just to be respectful of everybody's time, we're gonna probably go and do some trading and some sentiment until around noon, and then at noon I'm gonna do a different space for around an hour. If you haven't already, in these take these last 5 minutes to go ahead and follow the incredible woman of Wall Street that we have up here on this panel. We've got our 2 awesome co-hosts, Sim and Vegas, who do this week in and week out. They also come on tons of spaces throughout the week, providing live trades, updates. They put out tons of material in their Discords. There's so much more to see. So I'm following them. I recommend you do as well. And then our awesome Rosanna and Kim as well. Having them both up here is a gift. They really can deep dive into a number of topics. They are very knowledgeable on both the fundamentals, the technicals. They sell calls, they buy calls. It's a whole range of trading. So I really highly recommend taking the opportunity to follow them, to look at their pages, to educate yourselves, and of course, come back next week when we do it again with them. Also, in these last 5 minutes, I'll give everybody a chance to do a little bit of wrap up. Chatterquant, you trying to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to let you know we did have. I want to give an alert before we're done with the spaces for those of us who listened in. We had drug DRUG fire a momentum alert in the last 5 minutes. So if you want to check that out, thanks for having me on. I'll see you in the next one.
Okay, sounds good.
I just want to mention I took an Oxy call for September, $70 call for $2 on Oxy. Sorry, $1.99 on Oxy because it did trigger and looks ready for the move.
Okay, very nice. Let's go around and just get some other comments. Give everyone a chance. Kim, we can start with you. And this was awesome having you on. Was there any other stuff you wanted to share today or talk about or leave people with for the weekend?
Did you say me, Wolf? Oh, I just think, I've been talking, I know in this spaces we have a wide range of what we're looking at. When Mish comes on, she really talks about macro. It's a lot of what Angie talks about. And I think it is important to understand the macro, especially. So if you're day trading and you're scalping, like what Sim does, then the macro isn't as important, right? Because she's looking just at technicals, and correct me if I'm wrong, please. She's looking at technicals based on that day, not as much as how the macro affects that. Is that correct, Sim?
Yeah, that's correct. I'm strictly a price action trader.
And so that is one type of trading, right? And so macro doesn't really affect that. For me, Rosanna, like for example, I just took the M&Q long. I was looking at the technicals there. I wasn't looking at macro. I was simply trying to scalp just like Sim does. And I took that off for $10. I only had one on. Okay. So I do what Sim does, and I typically do it with futures. At the same time, a lot of what I do is based on more of swing trading or covering my stocks or putting on a short-term earnings trade, right? And so these are where macro does affect what I'm doing. So right now the dollar is way up. So I'm going to be less hesitant. I'm going to be more bearish in my trade. Technicals there, but I also have the macro there. And so that is affecting, saying the Fed's going to make 75 basis point hikes possibly in September. That is going to affect, that might have me, I'm going to reserve my cash. I'm going to be more cautious about long-term trades. So I may scalp with futures, but that's going to also cause me to put more covered calls on and sell more premium. Trades and how I might be playing stock swings, if that makes sense.
Perfect. Yeah, I think that's definitely some good stuff. By the way, we just have about 2 minutes left. I see our next speaker is coming on up, so just going to roll through. Definitely make sure you're checking out Kim, everybody. You heard the words of praise from Rosanna beforehand. Rosanna, anything else you want to share in this one?
Rosanna is amazing.
Thank you. Same thing. They're different pieces to the puzzle. Option flow, macro. I love the macro. Not too much, but I love enough macro. I find it very fascinating. I love how the dollar works with the commodities and the yield curve, which is actually, it's narrowing. It's a negative 0.3% spread. It was as high as 0.5% negative spread. So it's narrowing a little bit. The 10 years gaining on the 2 year. So I look at the manufacturing because my business is in manufacturing. I see the Empire State down. Now it's at a negative 31. Makes sense. We know it's in our business. Manufacturing was down in Q1. So we experience the data before it gets recorded. So I find the macro fascinating. It's all important. The Fed's raising rates 75 basis points, most likely in September. We know how that affects the market. So I'm turning more bearish. It's not even that I'm a bearish. It's more defensive. I'm protecting my wealth right now. I'm more into cutting back. I don't need to take so much risk. I need to protect what I have. And my shares to me on solid companies are great. I don't sell those. I keep them. I'm long term. But you have to factor in risk. And we do see the macro is very bearish. We see economic slowdown, inflation, Fed's raising rates. Quantitative tightening is starting up in September, everyone. That's when it really picks up. We're going to see reduction in liquidity. There's going to be reduction of money supply. It's all that tightening of the belt going on. So to me, it's to be a little more defensive and just to factor in the risk. But everything's a piece to the puzzle. I'm a swing trader, so sentiment's very important as well. And so just, focus on risk management, have a good time ultimately, because we're all here because we love this. I mean, I love doing this. So just always worry about the bottom line and just be careful out there and know that we're not out of the woods yet. But I'm loving the past few weeks have been great, and we just follow price ultimately at the end of the day. So today the price isn't so great. So we can either add on weakness or we just watch and do what we can.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Great points. Thank you, Rosanna. Okay. Sim, anything else you want to share?
No, nothing in particular. Market looked strong there for a little bit, and we saw a little bit of a down draw again. I'm sitting a full cash position. I got stopped out again above that 422.8 was my stop. So even though we're pushing down now again, this risk is all about, right? Could have just as quick as we pushed down, could have pushed up too. So it wasn't worth it for me. I didn't want to take 20%. I could have taken 20% off of the trade, off of that second 5-minute candle, but it just wasn't worth it for me. But again, it's with profit, so it's all good. But yeah, going forward, risk is everything. Again, making money in the market is pretty easy actually, but keeping that money is a really difficult part. And it's nice to see those gains that come up in the morning, and then you just want to keep on trading and trading and trading, guys. Like once again, when you're trading and trading and trading like that, you're exposing yourself or overexposing yourself to the market. Focus on the quality. Don't worry about the quantity. And yeah, have a good rest of your guys' Friday.
Thank you, Sim. Looking forward to our spaces next week. And the last one before we transition is going to be Vegas. Vegas, anything else you want to share? Okay, just trying once more. Vegas, can you hear me? Okay, I am not hearing Vegas, so I'm going to go ahead and we are going to transition. So I want to thank all the speakers and all the listeners that have been in here.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. And we have our next set of speakers coming right up. So if you're in the space, you don't have to go anywhere. Entertainment is staying, and it should be fun. We're going to chat about, we're actually going to be talking with BTS Radio here. So we're going to go ahead and change the title of this space. This is going to be BTS Radio X Wolf. So excited for this one. And we can also change that BTS. I'm going to give you co-host in a second after my other co-host drop. And we can kind of get rolling here. So we are going to be talking about Web3 music is going to be one of the main topics for today. It's a really up-and-coming topic. Music is just one of the areas which Web3 seems to fit very naturally into. There's a lot of synergies around these areas. Here, let me go and drop BTS Radio. I'm going ahead and I'm dropping you right now. So you should have that coming. And I just find that there's, again, a lot of synergies in this area. So today we wanted to talk over, first off, just starting with the impact of Web3 on the music industry. We wanted to talk about music NFTs. We wanted to talk about the power of a DAO. And then also, of course, we wanted to introduce Space Blasters, which is the project which we're doing today's space with the BTS Radio team. So hopefully that is a good overall initial covering. And I'll turn it over now to Back to Space Radio, if hopefully everything's good on your end, to introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing, and then we can deep dive from there.
All right. Hey, what's going on, everyone? Hey, Wolf, how you doing?
Living the dream. Thanks for being on here.
That's good. That's good. Hey, hope everyone's doing a great thing today. I hope you guys are doing well. I'm here as the host, and my co-host here, Sam, as well. We're part of the Back to Space Radio, where we do our shows on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We talk about crypto news, Web3, electronic music. We get into that, and also as well as the DAO system. We got a lot to talk about, and co-host here as well. How you doing as well, Sam?
Hey, I'm here. So happy to be here. Thanks for having us.
My pleasure. So we'd love to, I think, get a little bit first off about the two of you and a little bit about what you're building, why you are excited about the impact of Web3 on the music industry. And then we have some awesome other people in here. We've got Chris Cray, who's a artist in this industry as well. He's releasing an album with NFTs. We've got Quinn, who's very familiar with this as well, an artist. And then Chad and Abbas, who are two of my close friends in the Web3 space. So I think we'll turn over the floor to you to start kind of explaining a little bit more about what you're doing, what you're building, why you're excited for this space, and then we'll just facilitate a conversation around the panel.
Cool. So we'll start off with the whole base around the benefits, right? What this means for a holder and what this means for the artist. Because our focus really is about the electronic music industries. We've seen some problems, and we've also come up with solutions. And some of the benefits we can talk about, we can start off as a holder, right? For an example, our project is around the electronic music industry. We want to create kind of an infusion with Web3 and as well as our NFTs, allowing people as holders to gain benefits of some things they enjoy, like electronic music. So we've created almost a set of benefits, right? As the holder, you create benefits, event tickets, exclusive experiences for NFT holders, and as well artists who want to create music and want to be independent, who want to stray away from signing with labels and big companies where they take large amount of profits, and your creativity could also be withdrawn. Putting out their music quicker without a middleman or label while also getting royalties is a great example. With our project, we want artists who are small, who are even big, to gain access to able to share their music and creativity while getting themselves benefits. So on two sides of things, right, it's the holder and as well as the artist. There are two benefits, and we want to infuse electronic music to be sort of the main focus on our project. Sam, do you have anything else to add about that as well?
Yeah, no, that's a good intro pitch. We're music
Yeah.
lovers ourselves. I definitely was attracted to the Space Blasters project and getting to host this radio channel because I grew up loving music. Electronic music has been my genre of choice for many years now, and love going to music festivals and events where people are brought together over that love of music. And as I've gotten more and more into the space, I've made friends with artists myself and, have been able to see some of the challenges they face in getting their music out to fans, distributing it, monetizing that, and, being able to be an artist full time. And so when the introduction of music NFTs came out and where things are going with Web3, I think it's really exciting for both the artists to really monetize and get their work out, as well as for fans like me to have, maybe more exclusive opportunities and, up-leveled opportunities to, be part of that artist project and connect with other people who like that music too. So that's what really drew me to the Space Blasters project.
Yeah.
So what is if for people that are wanting to tune in, it sounds like you're doing a live radio channel. Maybe tell them a little bit about where that's happening, what people
Yeah.
are looking to, what the content's like, and then we can also maybe dive into where's the Web3 component to this, where's the NFT component, where's the DAO component, why are they appropriate and necessary?
Yeah, cool. So first things first, we decided to create a radio station here at Twitter Space. We set a schedule down. We also talked about events. So before the event would go off, we'd set sort of like news topics and things to cover over. We started off as this, and we want to progress more, of course, down the line. But we started a Twitter Space to cover Web3, electronic music, festivals, crypto news, NFT news, and much more down the line, and also announcing our project news. And we've also talked about, for example, one of our events, we talked about the DAO system, how people can choose essentially to vote on things. They can choose the artist that will be featured on our platform, our radio platform, because we have multiple platforms. One of the platforms we call this Blasters Room, which is essentially an exclusive room where people of holders can get access to talk to DJs and a lot more as well. And our Back to Space Radio, where people get to choose on who gets to come up on stage sometimes if we get bigger artists. Artists covering news, talking about electronic music, and just having a good time. We really at the end of it, it's having a good time and expressing other people. Some people get to come up and talk about their thoughts on the topics we cover about. So it's a great thing overall. It's a great experience that we like to set apart with the radio station that we set here on Twitter and our project.
So the project is Space Blasters, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And where does that fit into all this?
Yeah, Space Blasters is a NFTs group that we've come up with. Community, are really a fan of. We created this almost an infusion with music. So, for an example, we're coming up with our NFTs. Right, we're going through the minting process. We have 5,555 NFTs. Where our first collection of the 555 of them are called Chosen Blasters, and the 5,000 of the others are called OG Blasters. And essentially, these NFTs come with benefits that tie in with music. For an example, we're trying to work on creating festivals. So we're starting off with the metaverse, but we're also trying to include actual events, festivals, where you get these benefits for just being a holder. You get raffles, giveaways, and whatnot. Of course, Sam, do you want to also elaborate as well?
Yeah, like at the core of what we are is we want to create an entertainment club and unite music lovers who love electronic music and really kind of create a new empire in electronic music and leverage what the opportunity that Web3 has. And so at the base of lovers, our team is DJs, artists, people who love this genre. And a part of our roadmap is figuring out different ways that we can create events, radio channels like the Space Blasters on Twitter. We're going to be doing a festival in the metaverse. We're going to be doing like more private events, kind of like a boiler room if you've ever been to one of those, but we're going to call them Blasters rooms. So really it's an entertainment club for our NFT holders who all united over this love of electronic music. The show is our first shipped item, right? Our first project that we shipped. So we do 3 days a week, and we talk a little bit about how artists, DJs, musicians, as well as fans of the art can get into Web3 and NFTs and joining a DAO to bring those two things together and kind of integrate Web3, which is where so much of the world is going.
Perfect. I'd love to bring in some of the other people on the panel. Maybe we can go over to Chris. Chris, I'm curious if you've first off, if you have a chance to take a look at the project here with Space Blasters, if this is something, as an artist that appeals to you, if you work with any of these different radio stations, if you're looking to get into these different, playlists and pieces, I'm just curious if this is something that you've looked at.
I'm just actually reaching out and starting to look into all this, and the radio is sick, man. I'm just looking into how much you're able to do on Web3 with the radio spaces, and yeah, you guys are next level, next generation. It's good to see that somebody's offering a platform for Web3 artists to come and do what they do best and put their projects out there like that. It's really dope. So yeah, I'm checking everything out now, you guys.
We appreciate it. Thank you, man.
Perfect. And Quinn, I wanted to bring you into this. We haven't done a space together yet. I would love to give you a minute here to introduce yourself, talk a little bit about what you're doing. And then I'm interested if, you've also been looking into any of the other Web3 music projects and DAOs and stuff like that.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for having me on. It's great to be here talking about this. I'm Quinn Alexander. I'm an electronic music artist. I've been in the industry for a while now, but have been taking my time working on this project that speaks mostly to my personal story and how that can help people overcome darkness inside of themselves and whatever, all that good stuff. But now I have my first release coming in September, which I'm excited about, and exploring the NFT Web3 space for that, because I think it can be especially useful for artists. Going to the BTS project here that seems... I'm just starting to look into you guys right now as well. To go off what Chris was saying, seems great. The challenge is really, how do you engage listeners? Since music is so accessible, from Spotify to Apple Music to these streaming services that, you pay $15, $12, $8, and you have access to a limitless library. How can we as artists and we as, Web3 platforms entice listeners to come over to a different platform and away from their comfort zone? And something like a radio show seems like a great idea, because it's a bit more of a personalized program that you couldn't necessarily do via Spotify.
Yeah, great way to put it. Yeah, essentially the radio station is more of a personal touch. It's where the artist can get have a platform and the exposure to allow themselves to express, their art style or even their backstory, and it allows people who are listening to get more interested. And with the music library or art that they have, people can grab of interest. They'll be more entwined, and really they'd become a fan of the art, of that artist. We have plans for a contest for artists later on where they get a platform where they can and exposure where they get to kind of collaborate with our giveaways and give the people who are with Space Blasters sort of this initiative like, hey, this is an artist that is upcoming. We would love, we're doing a giveaway of sort of like creation, and that's sort of what we look for. And of course, we speak with the artists. We'd like to see at their best interest of what they would like. But at the end of the day, we want to give those artists a chance to show themselves, and give them a chance to express their art. And an example here is the radio station. Like you said, is a great point. We like to have people of the arts to entwine with Web3 so that they have a platform like the Space Blasters Radio to have a chance to talk about their art or creations, and sort of like giving them the exposure that they need to become a bigger platform for themselves.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
and I would say for you, like as an artist, getting your music out there, it's it's always going to be top of mind. How do I connect more with more people? How do I distribute my music to more ears? How do I find more fans? And you named a lot of problems with Spotify and some of these streaming platforms being so competitive, and like there's just so much content on there. And so for you as an artist, figuring out ways that you can get involved in Web3 and being one of the like early movers in terms of like DJs in this space could be huge for you. So, Twitter Spaces, for example, is where we're hosting our radio show. Twitter Spaces is fairly new, right? It's a new thing that people are doing as a way to like engage with fans. So like getting involved in Twitter Spaces like this. We have plans to bring our radio show on bigger platforms like YouTube and Twitch, which I think is great. And then also like figuring out if there are NFT projects in the music space, where a lot of these projects, these NFT projects, will create a DAO, like basically a community for all of their holders, often hosted on something like a Discord platform, but definitely having opportunities to meet in the metaverse. And, we're going to be looking for DJs ourselves to play at our virtual events, play at our in-person events, do like meet and greets and ask me anythings with our fans. So I think like if you can start kind of building your connections with other projects like this, I think it's going to be so helpful for artists who are like early in this Web3 revolution.
Yeah, it's a hugely exciting space, especially as you've mentioned, the opportunity for artists to connect a little bit more directly with their fans and express their digital personality a little bit more, that you get both from interacting with them live in this new medium.
Good stuff, Quinn. PBS, your hand up.
What's up, Wolf? What's up? Back to Space Radio. I just was looking through your website and your roadmap, and I had a question about can you go a little bit further of the exclusive music focused perks, music related perks that you get from owning one of these NFTs? And also, like, just to get this clear, so basically what you guys are doing is trying to build a platform through a radio station on, Twitter Spaces, YouTube Live, Twitch, etc. And then, like, basically part of your community can use your platform to market themselves.
Yeah, exactly. So in our roadmap we have at our website, we can get in detail of that as well. It's more of like a long-term plan. We like to start off with looking at long-term and seeing how we can stay, long-term. And one of the things that you've asked, right, is about the radio station, right? About our platforms and where we'll be.
Yeah, and the music related perks.
Yeah, sure. So one thing's first is that with owning owning the NFT, you get perks just passively by owning it. One of them is like you can obtain a 1-year free subscription to a music platform like Spotify for just owning it. You get entries to free raffles, entries to very inclusive, very specific and inclusive. Like the Space Blasters room that we have, where they're rooms that are specially made so that you can talk with the DJ. They're very special rooms, so that owners can get a chance to talk. For an example, we have allowing metaverse. We're trying to create it at first. We're trying to have a streaming platform on radios and Twitch. And Sam, also as well, I know you talked about it as well, where artists can have benefits, right? It's a win between both sides. But you get a Spotify 1 year membership. Yeah. Is there any question that you've seen on the roadmap specifically that you'd like me to elaborate on?
No, I just want that's good. I just was curious about the exclusive music related perks and going through that, but I think you definitely cleared it up with the raffles and talking to the DJs, getting information and knowledge from them and stuff like that.
Yeah, our radio station on Twitter Spaces is our first project that we released on our roadmap. But as soon as we actually mint our collection, which is going to happen later this month, then we'll form our DAO. And from there, we'll really know, okay, like who are almost like our VIP members, our NFT holders, the 5,555 members of our NFTs. For them, we're going to be able to create more exclusive perks that will not just happen on Twitter Spaces, but it'll be just for our holders. So this will look like virtual events and virtual festivals to start in things like the metaverse. But, we have really big plans in the future to do our own in-person festivals, to, connect with our community at festivals around the world and, be able to offer them perks at different festivals, doing raffles where we can actually like send people to places around the world. And all of this will be like voted on by our community. So ideas of like the types of events we want to throw, the types of festivals we want to have for giveaways, locations in the world where we want to have our events. But we really want our DAO system to allow our members to kind of like weigh in on that and shape things together. I think that's how it should go. So we have some plans for that. Definitely, we want to really like up level the party experience. I know for me, like the club scene, it can be so expensive. It's so crowded these days. Not really been my vibe. I like a lot more like intimate events where maybe there's less people, but it's, more of an up-leveled experience in terms of, just having better DJs, meeting people there that are like more like-minded. And so some of our holders, for example, will have events just for them. And that will be a lot more of like a boiler room vibe. If you've ever been to one of those, we're going to call them blaster rooms. And you're going to have a chance to like meet with the DJ, smaller, more intimate settings, up-leveled experiences. Again, we have ideas for how we would up-level those things, but we really want people to weigh in on, how they like to party and what kind of things that they'd like to see at their dream event. So it's more of an entertainment club in the end, and there'll be opportunities just for our NFT holders, but as always, we'll have opportunities available for the public, like our Twitter Spaces radio channel that will always have 3 days a week. But then more things just for our NFT holders.
Chris. Yeah, PB, anything else?
No, just that's really cool.
Chris, I saw your hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to touch on how you guys were saying that you offer all the IRL to the holders. That's exactly something that I'm trying to do with my project as well. Getting these people who hold the NFT, every holder should have something special that they can value, and that's really what we try to offer. So yeah, we have the merchandise, the greets in person. We try to get free tickets to exclusive events for our fans and our holders. Really trying to get as many people engaged in IRL as possible. That way they can feel like they really are a part of something, even though they're just on a Web3 Twitter space or they're just in a podcast. But we really do want them to experience as much IRL as possible.
Amazing. Yeah, it sounds like you totally get it. Have you been able to bring your community in person and actually bring that to life, or it's still kind of the vision of what you want to do?
Yeah, actually, the best way to give an example of that would be the Palm Beach NFT Expo that's going to be coming up this weekend. We were able to get free tickets for all of our close circle and family. This was unfortunate that it came out before we minted, so we weren't able to offer it to holders immediately. But basically, anyone who was whitelisted or pre-signed up to get our NFT, we were able to get them for $400 for VIP, and they get an exclusive lounge pass. They get special amenities. They get the entertainment. It's really dope, and I can't wait because this is the first time I've been to an NFT Expo myself, and so to be able to share in this event with all of my fans, all my followers, and our holders who are coming on board, it's just going to be something so new and so amazing for everyone to experience together.
That's amazing. You totally get it. That's going to be so much fun. I hope you have the best time. Are you getting to go too?
Oh yeah, most definitely. I'm pulling up in a limo.
You get it. You want
Yep.
to party like VIP, as you should.
Exactly. And that's literally
Amazing.
what we offered that to anybody who was able to make it to Florida the day before the event. They're able to arrange a pickup with us. So they're actually going to get picked up in the limo with us on the way to the event.
So cool.
That's
You
really
guys are going to
cool.
have so much fun.
Love it. Alex?
Hi, Gav. Hi, guys. Hope everyone is doing great today. I have actually several questions, but I will start like one by one and follow up on each one after the answer, if that's possible. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, let's do it. We're ready.
Yeah, sure. First, I see that the minting soon, and you mentioned that it is happening in August. I can't find anything related to the pricing of it. If that's possible, can you?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it's to be announced. It's about 2 weeks. For the public mint, it's going to be 0.08 Ethereum, and for the whitelist mint, it's going to be 0.06 Ethereum.
Cool. Thank you so much for the answer. The second one is actually going to be about how many do you have on the team, and this team is actually going to be helping the artist to come and onboard it into the community, or it's gonna be that the community will decide on the artist that they want it to be onboarded on into the project. This is a question, and there is another part of this question that I will add to, which is the artist is going to or the DJ or anyone is going to be performing in a way is going to have to pay anything to the project to be actually able to be introduced to the community?
Yeah, good question. So, just a little bit about our team. We were originally founded by a group of investors and music enthusiasts based in Toronto, Canada. I'm based in Canada myself. Shadi is American in Florida. But ever since the idea for Space Blasters was born, there's been more and more people joining the team. So now we've had artists who join us who've done like all of our Twitter art and these, amazing characters that you're seeing here today. You have Shadi and I who are now bringing our like radio hosting talents to the project. And we have like writers, local DJs, people who've helped us actually like curate our playlist. So we do have a Spotify playlist of about 100 tracks that were selected by our local DJs of just like the hottest tracks that people could listen to in electronic music. So our team is definitely growing. In terms of like how we're going to work with artists, we'll definitely introduce different artists to the community and they'll help choose as well. Like I think it should be a healthy mix of both of like we also want to know about DJs that people haven't even heard of. Like I know joining the team, there's a really cool EDM artist who's like kind of using like rapping, but also getting involved in electronic music. And I really like his music. He's called Baby No Money from Vancouver. And so, for example, like, I'm bringing that person to the table and bringing it on the map. And so, it's just as much about discovering DJs that our actual community knows about and musicians versus like us just telling them who we think is cool. So it'll be a bit of both. In terms of like how the monetary aspect will work of getting DJs involved, like I don't know for sure. how that will work. So I don't want to speak to that, but all of that will come out as our project starts to mint more.
Cool. I want to say like the your website. I'm looking at it on my phone, and it's really great how you put everything together. I like the way how it's vibing and the art as well within the collection itself. Saying that, I'm looking to the events, and it looks like there is something coming up at the end of this month, 26 to 28 in Netherlands. This is what is this about? Is it how you're going to actually do that while you're not minting yet?
Yeah, for sure. So right now, we're highlighting different festivals and events that are taking place in the world within our space. So, Mysteryland is coming up in the Netherlands later this month. You've got Creamfields in the UK. So these are like really big, amazing festivals that are on our bucket list, festivals that we've attended. And so for now, we're going to be doing raffles similar to how the last speaker just mentioned, where some of our, holders could win tickets to these in the future. Right now, we're just trying to highlight amazing events that are actually in the ecosystem as part of like our desire to create an entertainment club. And so that's the plan right now. We've been doing giveaways on our actual Twitter Spaces radio show that we run 3 days a week. So we've given away 0.01 Ethereum at one event, given away Spotify membership. So for now, before our collection mints, we'll be doing like more giveaways there to the public just for tuning into our radio show. But in the future, we want to bring our community to these huge festivals. We want to go to these festivals with them. I know I'm really excited about that. So hope that clears up those like dates and locations. And, you should definitely put one of those on your bucket list.
Yeah, it looks like it's like a calendars of events that you are actually going to talk about it on your Twitter Spaces on the radio and the same time.
Yeah, exactly. We
yeah.
talk about them when we're on the show too.
Yeah, the thing that I wanted to actually, and which catch my attention, that and probably something might actually be in your mind already is, are you trying to onboard someone from or some communities from outside the Web3 communities that you are targeting in here, and to be onboarded into Web3 kind of like new perspective on the music industry and the NFT in general and in Web3 in specifically?
I think that's such a good point. Like with Web3, there's such like a barrier to entry. There's so much like language to understand. And especially right now with everything that's happening in the economy, there's a lot of like fear associated with getting involved in Web3 or NFT or crypto or all these big words where if you're not part of Web3 already, that can be super intimidating. And so to answer your question, like we hope that for music lovers and electronic music lovers out there, we'll be their first NFT, and we'll make it really easy for them to understand like what a DAO is and why they should join a DAO and why they should own an NFT. And, maybe their entryway and gateway into Web3 is their desire for music and partying and these exclusive opportunities. And so for us, yeah, we do want to attract people who are not in Web3 yet because at the core of what we are is an entertainment club, but then also understanding that, it's going to be, the easiest and probably our first people will be people who are already part of Web3, already get it, probably own an NFT already, but also love music. So we hope to capture both.
Well, last question. I promise Chris. I saw Chris raising his hand like several times, but this is kind of like I left this controversial kind of question to the end because the musician and the artist who's in the Web3 that I have contact with them, that they have and Quinn probably highlighted this. He talked about Spotify and how is that actually you can pay a lower amount of money and you can have a kind of like a 1-year subscription to listen to any music you want. And in the Web3 specifically, the artist who's actually building in here, there's like have kind of like a different not different, like it's just like they not a big fan of this kind of like subscription, even though the subscription in real world is a big thing. in terms of how much they generate money out of it and how much is helping the artist to get into be famous at certain point. The thing that I want to ask is like you involving the Spotify and Apple Music kind of like rewards. It's just like kind of like a Web 2 specifically for Apple Music. It's just like so Web 2 thing into coming into Web 3 thing. If there is any plan in the future that you will be having a Web 3, purely Web 3 kind of applications that can help the artist within here, even though like by subscription or wherever, to be onboarded from Web 3 and created from the core of Web 3 mentality.
Yeah.
Shadi, do you want to say something?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. We like the aspect of being decentralized, right? Having an artist who work themselves independently. That's sort of what we're a fan of. And since we're already in this spot of electronic music and the genre of music, I think for sure our plans down the line are to work with artists and to see what sort of we cut down, because we're a problem solver. We look for solutions, and so I think it would be great that we'd be able to make a platform for artists where they can show their works, and sort of right now is what we have planned for, of like introducing artists and getting them involved with us, and also as well as the people of the of the holders. But for sure down the line our plan is to stay intact with with these artists, and maybe even so down the line create a platform where the artists can share their work. We want to help them. We'll start off with this, right? It's difficult for smaller creators, right? Joining a big label and, distributing your music and art can be tricky. So, we want artists to have the ability to collaborate with us, to play their music and give themselves the exposure and platform to perform. Access to collaborations, the ability to stay funded as an independent artist and get exposure for their work. That's sort of the focus we want, is to have the artist, to kind of grow out of that, and maybe, down the line they become as big as they want them to be, or however, whatever their plans are. I think the use of Web3 to sell their work, they can use Web3 to sell their work until the platform is there for sure. So I think it's a great idea that Web3 is definitely being infused here. Having this idea of like being decentralized and being independent is a great idea that we are definitely a fan of. I hope that answered your question.
Oh, thank you.
But yeah,
so much. It's definitely
of course.
To increase the visibility of the artist within the Web3 as well.
For sure.
Yeah, I got the idea. Thank you.
Of course, man.
Awesome. What's up, Chris?
Hey guys, I was just wondering if you guys are familiar with DRT.
DRT? I wouldn't be too sure on that.
All right, that's a digital radio tracker. So that's going to be tracking all your streams, all your royalty rights when you're played on the radio stations. And it picks up your algorithm. Like if you were to be playing on something like this through a Twitter Space radio station, it would find you through that as well. So the DRT would be finding all your songs played if you're on the radio. So like internet radio, internet, anything hosted basically on a frequency wave that you can tune into.
Yeah. Oh, so have you seen this worked with other stations, or is this personally something you've worked alongside with DRT?
Well, basically you're going to want to, as an artist, you're going to want to make sure that any platform you're working with has the DRT implemented. That way they get their royalties back. Like if they're on BMI or if they're on any ASCAP and they're trying to collect royalty rights, you want to make sure that that radio station has their DRT implemented.
I see. More of like analytics, right, of listeners, where they can tune in and see how many people had kind of listened to. I think. Sam, have you ever heard of the DRT?
No, but it sounds like another way that, technology is coming into this space of music distribution and allowing that. I'm in the podcasting
So the best thing,
space. Yeah, go ahead.
the best thing I would recommend though, that would help with what you guys are doing is just to go to drtradio.com, and you guys are able to, help artists do that. So that when artists are coming to you, you basically make sure that they are on the DRT, they're able to be played and get rights back.
Cool. Yeah, I'm sure our team is listening in. I'm also like looking this up, and it's really good to hear. Yeah, for sure. and I'm checking out their website too.
Exactly. Yep. Correct.
Okay, cool.
And I think that'll definitely help you guys with what you're doing. And when artists come to you, they'll be mind blown.
Quinn,
we really appreciate that.
Quinn, you seem to be in the same mindset on this.
Yeah, it sounds kind of like a sound exchange like kind of thing going on for Web3, because you have all these performing rights organizations, ASCAP, BMI, CSAC, that are gonna collect and distribute royalties for registered songs, performances of registered songs. So, if your song is played in a restaurant, a song is played in a nightclub, that kind of thing, it's going to get paid out to the artist. And then you have sound exchange. And it's definitely going to be important for artists to be able to collect their royalties on Web3 platforms, because, historically the music industry has a nose for screwing artists out of royalties with new technology. The latest being, I guess, Napster would be the most dramatic example of that, destroying Napster so that they couldn't, connect more with their fans. And that's kind of my main focus here as an artist is observing the space and seeing how, platforms can give artists the power to connect, but also to be paid and compensated for their work. So it seems like this platform that Chris was just mentioning here, especially combined with all the foundations that you guys have laid over there at BTS, and the potential that has, could definitely a useful tool to make sure and protect artists in this new space as it evolves.
Yeah, real good point. Yeah, and I'm actually looking at it right now. I see that the artist can see when and where the music is played. Is that correct? The DRT report? That's really cool.
Yeah,
But
exactly. That's why I just wanted to bring it up for everyone here today. It's something really important. We want to make sure all artists in Web3 are aware of. That way they are able to capture and track what's going on with their songs and their music.
yeah, and speaking about the radio, yeah, we have, for an example, our Twitter radio is more for like the community getting their opinion out. We want to distinguish the two. We don't want people to get mixed up between the two. We got the 24/7 radio, which plays all genres of electronic music, which would be down on YouTube Live and Twitch. That would be the Back to Space radio. But over here, we do on Twitter Space, we like to educate more, get more people involved in the community. We're talking about Web3, our project, but we'll definitely look into that. Yeah, DRT is definitely something that's of interest. I really appreciate the idea, Chris.
No doubt. As an artist, I appreciate what you guys are doing for Web3 and all the artists that are coming to Web3 in this new horizon that we are offering for people to get on board and really see what we're offering. It's the wave of the future. It's what's coming to every single phone, every single radio station, anybody that's listening to Twitter and trying to find new music and new art. That's exactly where they're going to be drawn to, is everyone that's starting up these spaces now, everyone that's starting up stations now, that's creating a platform for artists, that's creating music. All of that is going to be firsthand for people who are now coming into this platform, who are new to the platform. They're going to see us first.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. Thank you, Chris. Yeah, and I hope, artists themselves who are listening, it's also to think about, right? As an artist yourself, what are some of the ways you can do to expand, to meet your fans, or even use platforms to talk directly? Because I think that's one of the great things about being an artist, is that you have people who are a fan of your work, and there's nothing better than that, than to do as you like, and to express yourself in the ways of and means of yourself. And I think that's really cool that a platform like Space Blasters, or even other platforms out there, give the artist a chance. And not even that, but the fans as well. There's benefits on both sides, and that's sort of like what we're looking in here. It's it's a benefit for everyone, and I really like that.
Could you walk me through the branding? Why Space Blasters, the artwork,
Sure.
everything around it?
Exactly. One of the things we like to take the party out of this world. The whole initiative is that we want to change the partying scene. And so our sort of art style is around on some aliens, right? We have a story behind this, and it's just aliens who want to party, who, for an example, they see the problems with all partying already existent. So they want to go out of this world. And so our initiative is to hit Mars. And that's sort of the art style we like to go through, and it's sort of different. I like it as well. It's really cool, and it's something that would really fit nice with the electronic music as well. So it's sort of an art style we've gone with. It's an approach we've done. We got a storyline behind it, and if you check our page, we post arts. Our artists are working as well to kind of give a visual scene on what we're doing. So it's really something that we're trying to really drive off on, is this nice story alongside of what we're doing. So it's a nice collaborative sort of touch with like you got the alien art, and then as well as the approaches that we're doing as a project.
I know you mentioned some stuff on your team. I don't see a team page on the website. Is that something that's coming soon?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we have links. We have a project manager. We have we're linked in. We provided. We have the Twitter pages if you'd like to check them out. But for sure, down the line, we're still working on the website. Of course, there's a lot more to be added on there. But for sure, we're gonna have like an About Me page that talks about the roles within the project. But currently, right now, if anyone would like to see, the Twitter page, we do have that. We like us to be, transparent and have that sort of like insight with the team. So for sure, down the line, if it's not going to be on the website, we're working towards that right now. But for sure, we got their Twitter page up if you guys are more interested about who's working behind the project, and a little more information about us as well.
Got it. I got some more questions, but Abbas, is your hand up?
Well, I have a question about if the NFT is going to be a music kind of like any sounds, any.
Oh, if the NFT itself has like sounds?
Yeah, it's like a music.
You're bugging Abbas, but yeah, I think his question was basically if there's going to be music kind of built into the NFT.
As of now, this is our first collection. Really, right now, it's just the NFTs, what you'd see like with other NFTs, right? It's not with music based, no. But we do take ideas. This is our first collection, so we won't be doing that. But throughout our, down the line in the roadmap, maybe there will be exclusive projects that we might come out that comes alongside with music. But for now, no, we don't have the NFT that comes with exclusive music alongside. It's really just being a shareholder with the specific Space Blaster.
Something that is unique about our that I think is really exciting is that we have the two levels. We have the Chosen Blasters, and then we have the OG Blasters. So essentially, when our collection mints, if you become a holder, you won't actually know which one you are. Am I a Chosen Blaster? Am I an OG Blaster? And that'll actually happen at random. And so we'll unveil the 555 Chosen Blasters that we'll select at random after the collection is sold. And for those Chosen Blasters, they're the ones that get, some extra perks. And you can see like the exact breakdown on our website if you blasters with a Z.co. And you can see how we've broken it up. So I think that's like really unique and a fun aspect about our NFT collection.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Quinn?
Hey, yeah, I just wanted to talk a little bit also about the music, the sound component of an NFT here. I think it's great that you guys are just starting off with the visual component because I not to just raise difficulties, but as both a consumer and an artist of music, I tend to find that people value sight over sound. So for music and NFT, if you're going to explore the visual or the audio, like audio visual is necessary. The visual component, I don't think will ever stray away from when we're talking about NFTs in conjunction with music projects, whether that is an artist, whether that's what you guys are doing over there. And I think that's largely in part just due to the nature of our culture and the way that it values music and the way that that's reduced over time. So as an artist, you want like your main skill is the ability to create music. So how are you going to leverage that in an NFT space? That's kind of the main challenge that I'm seeing how to overcome myself. It opens up a lot of cool opportunities for unique pieces of work that, maybe leveraging your back catalog in conjunction with a unique piece, like a unique NFT. That way, the NFT has a unique piece of audio as well that can't be streamed on Spotify. There's many different ways to do that, but it's definitely a new space. So I'm not surprised that not a lot of us are exactly exploring it yet, because I'm not sure that I've met anyone that knows what to do with it quite at this moment as an artist.
Mm-hmm. I will say it is a cool idea though, to have a snippet of like some audio from a specific artist to be an NFT. I think that's really cool, and it's a good idea that me and my team would definitely look down on. We're definitely down the line. We want to make this more entwined with the artists and as well as the holders. So it is a cool idea, and I think we can definitely think about that down the line as we're building a foundation. We want to definitely make it as appealing as possible for the listeners, for the artists, for the holders, overall for everyone.
Totally. Like if you go to our website, we consider our spaceship, it's just loading right now. We haven't taken off. So, if you look at our roadmap, we really just wanted to start with establishing our brand, which you've seen artwork, our website, social media, making our Back to Space playlist on Spotify, our radio show, which we have 3 times a week. We've been doing the giveaways, showing our appreciation for those community members who keep coming to every single event. It's, I'm sure you guys hosting these Twitter spaces too can appreciate just seeing those same faces or often icons show up at every single event and, reward those people. And then our spaceship is, going to be ready for takeoff this month, which our first location is Mars. So after that, that's when we'll have our community fund. And so that's when we're going to be able to explore some of these bigger ideas that we've even talked about today. It's okay, what do we do with this fund? We know we want to purchase, metaversal land on Sandbox because we really want to have our very first Back to Space virtual event. So that's one thing that we've earmarked with our community fund. We want to bring our radio station, our Twitter spaces to all streaming platforms, Twitch, YouTube Live, all of that. And first identify our chosen blasters. So those 555 holders who are going to get more exclusive raffles. And then after that, please go to our website. There's so much more that we're going to be doing in the future and incorporating music into every aspect of it. And we really want to support artists. Our team is based on, artists and music lovers themselves. So this is a problem that's quite important to us and, just up-leveling the experience for both people. I think a huge opportunity to solve problems for music lovers as well as creators of music. And we want to, be at the intersection of that.
Awesome. Chris?
Yeah, guys, I love what I'm hearing. I definitely feel like to get out there, you guys might, want some kind of anthem or a song of sorts to really highlight what's going on with your project and all the attributes that you're able to offer, all the utility that's tied to it. And that's really what my project stands in what we do with other communities and other projects. We really like to highlight the key parts and the key traits to a community, especially the founders, the co-founders, or even the artists who are involved in the community as well. So when I make an anthem or a song for a community, I like to do my homework. I like to really bond with the community, get to know a lot of the people involved. That way, when I'm making these songs, they're very close to the cuff. They're very from the heart. And that's why when you hear the songs that I make on my NFT project, they are going to highlight each project in its key format, and you will understand what the project is offering just by listening to the anthem that we'll be able to create with the CC1 platform.
That's great. Yeah, I mean, the whole point with artists being able to express themselves is that there's not a middleman, right? Because one thing I've seen for sure is that having someone in the middle of an artist can be, a really bad point where their creativity can be involved. And so there are times where artists have to let go or even do something because it's marketable rather than because it's creative. And sort of we want that transparency with the artist and even, a one-on-one with the fan and being able to even do snippets, right? If an artist is working on something and wants to express the backworks of their work, they'd be able platform to share that. And I'm sure for sure. But for new artists who are coming up to this, it could be real tricky, right? Distributing your music and art becomes tricky when starting off. So I think it's great for an artist who is really just starting to become, big, or is working on, expanding. One project like us is great to where we can collaborate, and so we can give them some insight, and as well they can give, sort of their art. And I think it's really great that artists will have opportunities like this, and as well with Web3, to be able to have this sort of opportunity, because a lot of artists out there struggle with opportunities, finding it, and a lot of artists who just come out don't really have some sort of mentor to tell them on where to and what and where to do. So a platform as what we're working on is really sort of for the fans and for the artists. So it's really something we're working on. And of course, yeah, our roadmap has got a lot in there. We are updating it as soon as possible. And you can check us more on our Twitter page. We'll update on what we got going on, and as well as our insights on our future projects. And also to also include is that networking is really big. We've spoken about networking before on our show, and I think networking is another great aspect. A lot of people with artists would love to have networks with other artists about their techniques, or even about what they've done. So I think the community members can have this is a great opportunity to meet similar mind people who want to get into work, for artists who want to work together, or it's just having the like-minded people, for both artists and for both people. People who want to party and have a great time and enjoy their favorite artists, while artists can have this network where they can express themselves, talk about each other, and sort of more in depth of their artwork that they can share, and even mentor other artists. So I think it's great overall, for both the listeners, the NFT holders, and the artists.
Great points. Hey, Luke, I saw you joined in. I know we're kind of coming towards a close here. We've got about 6-7 minutes left. I was just curious if there were any comments you wanted to make. I'm not sure, if you've worked with projects that are kind of trying to build out these Web3 based radios. I know that you've obviously been on a lot of Twitter Spaces just if you had any thoughts on kind of the topic, the area, and then just anything else kind of that intersection of Web3 and music.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, I came in right at the tail end here, so I'm not really sure if any of these questions are asked. One of them is just, so you're building a platform for Web3 people to actually highlight their music across your platform you're building? Is that what's going on?
We're building in an entertainment club for music
Oh, nice.
lovers, specific with the electronic music space. And as part of that the entertainment club, we'll be connecting both. So we want to work with artists, up and coming artists who, have that pain point of not sure how to distribute their music, how to get involved in Web3, better ways to monetize that actually they can make, a real living out of, and go full time with their music, while also up-leveling the party experience for the music lovers in our entertainment club. So I think it's serving both, and we'll be doing, virtual party events as well as in-person events, bringing our holders to really cool festivals around the world, and having more intimate experiences as part of those festivals. So yeah, I would define it as an entertainment club for people in the electronic music space.
Got it. So focused on electronic music. Question to you: would you eventually see an event, your branded event, kind of making a Coachella for you guys? One day or 2 day EDM or whatever kind of electronic music you guys are focusing.
Hell yeah. I think that would
Yep.
be amazingly epic. We are setting smart and achievable goals to start. We really want to, we did our radio show first. Next is going to be buying space in the metaverse and doing a virtual event, and, actually bringing our members to other festivals, but absolutely doing our very own festivals 100% on our roadmap. It's a dream and priority for all of us. I think that would be so amazing. I've definitely traveled to many festivals around the world, and you always see them and you're like, oh, I would do this differently, or I think this could be better in this way. And so it would be so cool to create something of our own, and we would love to.
Right. So you have a club, and then you're going to, from the club, it's kind of the next step is having in real life events for meetups. Then there's in real life bringing people to events like Coachella or on other EDM places, really mainly. And then eventually getting your your own festival off the ground with like,
Exactly.
you
Yeah.
know, let's just say,
Well,
Yeah.
we could start smaller, right? We could start rather than like a huge 2-day festival. We definitely want to do like smaller public events. So I don't know if you've ever been to like
Yeah,
a
just like a night.
boiler. Yeah, like a boiler room type vibe where you get more of an intimate experience with the DJ. You're kind of like part of that show. So we're going to call them like blaster rooms. So we'll be doing like smaller in-person events first, absolutely, as we continue to build out our brand. And then for sure, our own festival.
That's good. That's really great. And then highlighting unknown artists, distribution's always the problem. You know, I mean, in any business, in anything, basically, distribution's always the problem. Like, how can you get the word out about your product, whether it be music or, you know, whatever, if you're building an audience, even on Twitter, you know? So it's really great to give like unknown artists that leverage that they definitely need to make a living at. So I love it. That's great.
Thank you. Yeah. And
Thank you
also
so
like
much.
connecting people around that artist, right? Like I know for me, as I've gotten, you know, a bit older, some of my friends have kind of like changed their priorities in life, maybe have kind of like stepped away from the festival scene, music scene, party scene. And so like, you know, bringing people together who still want to, you know, go to events and who are like-minded. Like we see really great opportunity in our DAO for our community to connect and meet with each other and, you know, maybe meet up at a festival and bring these people together. So I think that's also a cool aspect is when you create a community around this like focus, who knows what could come from that? You know, maybe it's other DJs meeting each other as part of our space and collaborating on a track or collaborating on some work. I think there's so much potential. Distribution is a problem, but also like connecting and making the right contacts. And I think, you know, we'll be able to do that for people as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. Thanks.
Perfect. Okay, we're right up on time here, so I just want to go ahead, give everybody some, you know, opportunity to share any final thoughts that they have. We had some great contributions from the artists in here, so let's start with Chris. Anything else you want to share?
Heck yeah, you guys are awesome. I love what you're doing for Web3. It's innovative, it's groundbreaking, it's to the next level. I definitely think we should work on the back end and maybe get in the DMs because, yeah, you guys, I really feel like you guys could use an anthem to get the word out of what you're trying to do. And I really believe that it would be worded properly through an anthem track. That way people can understand what you're offering through music. I believe music connects all of us, and that's really what it is. This is a CC1 community EP for you guys to connect with all the projects I make a song for. So anybody that gets a song will be exclusive to the CC1. You'll have all exclusive backstage passes. You'll have vlog footage that won't be released until the music video is released. And we really do want everyone to come on board. So you guys, BTS Radio, you guys kick butt. Thank you guys so much for this space. Wolf, you're the best, man. Thank you for hosting. You kick butt too, man. You're the man. Everybody check out that pin tweet at the top, CC1. We're minting live. So make sure you check out chriscray.com. That's all you got to type in, and you're there.
Amazing. I'm already imagining some like space vibes in the song, some like alien noises, some cool sound effects, the spaceship taking off. I feel it.
Chris,
have you listened to a Kid Cudi track before?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I'm thinking something like that. Wolf, go ahead. What were you saying, fam?
Chris, can we get 20 seconds of the Dolphin song?
You sure can. I got you right up.
All right. I Chris made some of his song. I don't think it's released yet on Monospace. It was pretty solid. So if you wanted a sneak peek at it, it is kind of similar to Kid Cudi, so we could throw that on for a second here. While Chris is getting that ready, we could go. Chris, you have that ready, or should we go to Quinn for a second?
Yeah, I got you. It's queued up, fam. Thank you again so much for allowing me the opportunity to be on the space with everyone. And thank you guys so much for allowing me to play this track. And I hope you all enjoy it. This is the Digital Dolphins anthem. And if you mint the album, you get the first 30 seconds of this song right now. We will be dropping the full song into everybody's airdrop. Also, the cover art will be exclusive with that as well. So you get the exclusive cover art and the full song after you guys download the album. So make sure you check that out on OpenSea. All right. All my dolphins digital. We keep our ocean
time is up, it's pivotal. We gotta save the Dolphins now before they all go digital. We gotta save the Dolphins now before they all go digital. All of my Dolphins are digital. Shout out the artists for making them visuals. Dolphins invisible. Even the sharks don't wanna get physical. Tear them apart, a part of the pinnacle. Know that we small, smarter than typical. Keeping our water safe, that's critical. Part of the big wall. Dolphins be motion like swimming pool. Lavish my life and we live in cool. Immaculate fly, keep dropping these rolls. Go jump in the Discord and follow the rules. Yeah, it's for the water keepers, where the water's deeper. Digital dolphins, fly right through your speakers. For the water keepers, where the water's deeper. Digital dolphins, fly right through your speakers. All my dolphins.
All right, let's go, let's go. Love it, Chris.
Mad love. Thank you, Wolf.
Awesome stuff. All right, Quinn, anything else you want to share? Appreciate you being on.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. This is it's a great first Twitter space for me, and I think what you guys are doing over there at Back to Space is fantastic, especially as a new electronic artist. I'm definitely will talk to you guys further about what you're doing and exchange some music with y'all. I think just in general about Web3 and music is that when independent artists can learn how to leverage and really be creative with these technologies to connect with fans, you can just see that exploding into massive success. I mean, that's how we got Radiohead, basically leveraging Napster to connect with fans in a new way, sell massive tickets. So the potential here is really exciting for everybody, both the platforms and just really appreciate you letting me throw my 2 cents in there and get connected with this fantastic community.
Absolutely. Our pleasure. Appreciate you being on. Abbas, anything else you want to say on this one?
I don't know if you can hear me.
We got you a little.
Yeah, because I couldn't hear Lucas at all while he was talking. That's it. I don't have anything to add from my side.
Okay. Thanks for taking the time. Luke, thanks for joining up on here too. Anything else you want to say?
No, I'm good. I'm just really happy to see people doing this in space. This is really this is definitely something innovative in the music space. So congrats, guys, and I hope you do really, really well with it.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Cool. And we'll throw it over to you, to the BTS team. Anything else you want to share?
We want to just thank you guys and thank you, Wolf, for the opportunity for us to come here and talk about a project. We're currently on the workings, and we got our open pre. You can sign up on our whitelist raffle to get a chance of a 100% spot on the minting and being able to mint it for a cheaper price. Just want to say thank you for those who are listening, and thank you, Wolf. And shout out to all the artists out there. We love you guys. And you can check us out on Twitter. We got our radio event, and we'll be going off on Monday at 1 p.m. Is my quality good? Sorry. I was having...
It sounds like you're in outer space.
Really? All right, I'll let Sam cover this. Sorry about that.
I think that was intentional. It literally sounds like you're from outer space. No, this was so fun. Really great conversation. I really appreciate how engaged your community was. Definitely, I'd love for you to check out our show 3 times a week. Give us a follow, check out our website, learn more about our project roadmap. We've been as detailed as possible on there, but just always remember that we're open to influence. Like once our community fund is established, the first thing we're going to do is get feedback from our holders on how we should prioritize and what should happen next. So take a look at our assumptions, take a look at where we're about, listen to our show 3 days a week, and maybe we'll see you in the DAO. I think that would be so. If you do end up joining, definitely come say hi. I'm Sam. Shadi's my co-host. And we'll be back live on Monday, where I think Wolf is actually joining our show on Monday, right?
That is correct. 2 p.m.
Okay. I'll hear you then.
Awesome. Looking forward to it. I'll come in spin some beats. All right. With that being said, thanks everybody.
Ooh, Wolf, you said you're going to spin some beats. I need to hear some of them beats, fam.
We'll see. It's just me howling on a track. All right. That's all I got for today. Really appreciate everybody that came in, hung out with us for a few hours, traded with us, talked some Web3 with us, some music. Go ahead and check out what BTS Radio and the Back to Space live account are doing. Like they mentioned, I'm going to be on their radio channel on Monday at 2 p.m. EST. And we're going to be chatting more about this topic and playing some beats, hopefully. So that's all I got for now. Wishing everybody a great Friday, great weekend. This is my 30th space of the week. So we're going to cap it off with this one. And I'll be back next week with a very full slate. I'm going to have at least 10 spaces on Monday. So tune in if you like Twitter Spaces. All right, take care, everybody.
Thanks, guys.